Tonight is an interesting journey we're going to go on together. Can anyone hear me? Is the sound okay? Yes? Yes. Thumbs up from the audience. 2 thumbs up. Okay, now I'm getting thumbs up everywhere. Okay. It's contagious. When I was 24 years old, I had no Jewish connection at all. I had no Jewish friends. I didn't go eat kosher. I didn't keep Shabbos. I literally did not keep Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah or Pesach when I was 24. Now that I'm 25, it's been a very intense year. The hair extensions are just coming in right now. I went somewhere around when I was 24, maybe a year or 2 off. Probably not. I actually spent 10 days on a Buddhist ashram doing a meditation retreat, a silent meditation retreat. It was an incredibly intense experience. You literally meditated from 4 o'clock in the morning until approximately 10 o'clock at night. You weren't allowed to speak at all for 10 days, which is very intense. Of course, that implies no social media postings, that you weren't allowed to do anything basically for 10 days. Which begs the question, what's the point of having a spiritual experience if you can't post about it on Facebook? And I guess that's a deep question for our generation. We can deal with questions like that for another night. But it was a very powerful experience. What you did for the first 3 days was literally, you sit on the floor from morning to night, from 4 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, and you breathe in through your nostrils and you exhale through your nostrils. Someone collapsed. That was such an overwhelming idea. So it's literally what you did from 4 o'clock in the morning. You inhaled and exhaled. After around the 3rd day, somewhere around the 2nd and a half day, I actually had some kind of breakdown. I could no longer find my nose and my face. This sounds weird. This is not a joke. This is serious. And I actually ran out into the forest and kept counting to 10 and walking around the circle, just feeling my nose to make sure it was there. I guess there's many Jewish women who would probably love to lose their nose, and that's a non-operation dependent solution potentially. It's very fascinating to know what the mind can do and what happens in the mind. It doesn't mean that you can't find your nose. You're not present with your nose. I literally couldn't feel it was there. So the mind is very interesting. If you know how to shift it, interesting things happen. On the 4th day, they teach you the actual technique. The first 3 days is just a kind of a preparation. On the 4th day, they teach you a technique which is kind of like scanning the body. The basic premise is, of course, you've heard in a modern generation where mindfulness is prevalent everywhere, that we have a thing called the monkey mind. We have a thing called the noise in our head. And if we want to function, be more calm, be more peaceful, be more connected to ourselves, so we learn to calm the monkey mind or eradicate the monkey mind and return to ourself or our soul or whatever that is. So basically that's what you're trying to do for like day after day after day after day. Around day 6, I had finally the breakthrough experience. I had the aha moment. I had the moment where people go around the world to ashrams, or they try ayahuasca, or LSD, or they do intensive meditation stuff, or they do breakthrough seminars, transformational seminars, because people are looking for that one moment. They're looking for that aha moment. And I had it. I was sitting there, and at one moment around the 6th day, I was in excruciating physical pain, because you're literally not allowed to move, and any thought that comes into your mind, you have to ignore. And even when your body starts with pins and needles, you're not allowed to even move your body to kind of remedy the pain. So it just kind of builds up, literally from 4 o'clock in the morning. And so around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was in such excruciating pain. I remember this feeling, I was just kind of like leaning back. My body was kind of giving way, and I couldn't keep myself up, and I was in pain. I was like pushing myself. I didn't realize I was pushing my consciousness out of the body, almost as a mechanism to avoid pain. And finally, around the 6th day, what actually happened is I just literally felt it, almost like my brain blew out of my skull, but in a pleasant way, whatever that even means. And I kind of launched out of my body, and I had this unbelievable cosmic experience. And many people have had that or visions of that, but it was like all the cliches were true, but in the most incredible, beautiful, possible way, it's beyond imagination. I felt I was suddenly one of the cosmic reality. I felt that everything was peace and love and connected. I felt my infinite self, my infinite source, and how we were united as one. I looked back on a lifetime of fears, of doubt, of pain, of ego, and I thought that wasn't me, that wasn't the real me, and it was so small below. And my mind was full of incredible energy, incredible light, incredible insights about suffering, about challenge, about humanity, about purpose, about destiny, and you're just in this unbelievable state. Not only that, but amazingly enough, that stayed with me, and literally every morning from the time I got up and I sat in that position, I went into that and I would return to that from morning to night. And that's why I'm Buddhist, as you see standing before you today. Makes you wonder why your brother came here. Now, that sounds like the good part, and that really was really something quite special and something quite magnificent. The challenge is that every night at around something like 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock maybe, you would end the meditation for the day, and there was a little television screen at the front of the ashram, like up here, and the guru from India would come on the screen, and he would give like an hour Devar Buddha, if you will. He would give an hour teaching of the philosophy, the theory explaining this particular group sect within the Buddhist tradition, and what their beliefs were. That's where I started to have issues. That's where it started to become challenging. Now hold in mind that I was completely, I don't like using the word religious, which is a terrible word, and secular is almost as stupid. So let's say I had no awareness of Jewish tradition and no identity as a Jew, and certainly not at all as a religious Jew at the time. But there were things that he was saying which were really rubbing me the wrong way. Now, at the beginning, he began by saying all just emotionally intelligent things and insightful things, that we get caught by our thoughts, we get overwhelmed by our mind, and we have to find a self that is beyond the mind and beyond the thoughts, by living in the present moment, etc., etc. We've read all these things before, we've read those books, we've seen those YouTube videos, we've maybe gone to those seminars, so I don't need to bore you. So as he's talking around these points, he starts to say something over days and days, which starts to build up and frustrate me. Now the challenging thing is, just to put this in context, the experience that they are teaching and the techniques they are teaching are unbelievably profound and game-changing, one. But the philosophy they're teaching is very frustrating, and not only am I not resonating with it, it's beginning to feel like an inner contradiction to me. But the problem is, you're not allowed to speak on the ashram. So you're not allowed to ask questions to anybody. Imagine we tried this in an Israel trip. You know, come, the Torah is true, we give Torah sign. What do you think about that? Sorry, you can't ask any questions. Just sign up here anyway. Buy your black hat now. It wouldn't go over so well in the Jewish world, but that's what they were trying there. The interesting is, if you have a question you can't ask, but then when you make an agreement for 10 days not to speak at all, there's one little, there's an asterisk to read the fine print. And then you are allowed to speak and ask questions. How does this work? Every day, between 2 to 2:30, there's a guru that sits on the mat at the front of the room. This is Australia, so people have very exotic names. His name was something like Guru Steve. So Guru, I kid you not, it was like Guru Jono or something like that. The guru is sitting on the pillow in the front of the room, and the rule is he sits there during the lunch break from something like 2 to 2:30 every day for 30 minutes. And you can go and ask him a question. Now the rule is this, that you can ask him a question, but at 2:30, even in the middle of the question, no matter what you're up to, he gets up and walks out. To help you build equanimity or whatever that is. So every day from around the 6th day, I'm starting to have these cosmic experiences, but at the same time, I'm very frustrated with what they're saying. But I don't want to open my mouth and ask the question, because if you've ever had what's called in Torah, Tanas Dibur, not speaking for a continuous amount of time, it's a better detox than any diet that you go on. It's deeply profound how it shifts your consciousness. So in one sense, I felt frustrated, I want to ask the question, and in another sense, I didn't want to ruin the magic of the experience. But around day 7 or 8, whenever it was, I think it was day 7, I was so frustrated, I actually got up and went to lunch. In the middle of lunch, I put down my plate and said, no, I have to ask this question, I have to ask this question. So I finally came back to the room, and there's Guru Steve on the floor, and there's about 7 or 8 people in front of him, and I look at the clock, it's like 2:12 already, so I sit down and I wait, and someone asks a question, I got up, and everyone kind of takes a leap forward on the pillows, And the next question, I'm watching the clock, I want to get my questions, 217, 218, 220, 221, 223, and everyone's moving forward, slowly. And finally, I'm just staring at the clock. There's him and there's one girl, and she's asking a question, and another question, and another question. I'm staring at the clock, it's like 227, 228. I want to strangle this girl, but it's not a very Buddhist thing to do, right? So finally, it's like, I don't know, 2:28 and 30 seconds, she gets up and leaves, and I leap into this position in front of him. The first thing I did was just start with gratitude. I said, it's really profound, it's really beautiful, and I'm getting it, and thank you. And he just nodded in a very graceful way. And I said, but I have a question. So he said, sure. So I can't tell you the exact words of what I asked, but this is pretty close. And what I said to him is the following thing. I said, I understand that violence is bad, and I understand that war is bad, and I understand that human ego is bad, okay? And I said, even more than that, I understand that money probably is the root of all evil, and even though I'm a 24-year-old heterosexual male, I will acknowledge that sexuality can take us sometimes to some really messed up places. And I said, so I understand the challenges of this world. And I understand, spiritually speaking, what a mess the world of politics can be, what a mess the world of business can be, what a mess the world of ego is. I said, but there's also beauty in this world, surely. There's goodness in this world, surely. The beauty of a sunset, the beauty of a forest. You know, I understand that sexuality can be messed up, but the sexuality in a relationship where there's love and when there's commitment, where there's respect, can take that relationship to another level. Money can be the root of all evil, but money can create tremendous goodness and opportunity in the world. It can create opportunities for healing, for research, for health, just a family to sustain itself with their basic needs. I said, I understand, of course, there's negativity in the world, but surely there's positivity in the world. I said, surely there's good in the world, surely there must be a value in the world, right? I said, so how can it be that we're teaching that true spirituality can only come when we completely separate from the physical world? I just want to say parenthetically, we're not having a philosophical debate tonight on the nuance of Buddhist tradition. And Buddhism is also a complex system with many different movements with its own path. So I'm just telling you my experience and the person that I was dialoguing with and what the conversation was in there. So fine. So I said, you know, it can't be that the whole physical world has no value, the whole physical world could be negated, that a person can't be spiritual also in the physical world. And he leaned forward. I was waiting for him to wrestle with me on this idea. He just said, you're right. You're right. He said, there's tremendous good and value and beauty in the physical world. He said, that's not what we're saying. He said, the problem is the samsara. How's your Sanskrit? Anyone holding in Sanskrit the samsara? And if you know what this term is. Great, okay. This is not Hebrew. The samsara is a very complex, rich, interesting word that's discussed in Buddhist texts, also in Hindu texts, and it's very hard to translate it literally. It kind of means the ocean of desire, the nature of the physical draws of the world. This is what he said to me. He says, there's beauty and value in money. There's beauty and value in love. There's beauty and value of a sunset. He said, there's beauty and value in a flower. He says, you're walking down the street, you see that flower, it's so beautiful, you're struck by its beauty, you're struck by the beauty of nature. He says, and what do you do when you see the beautiful flower? You don't want to let go of it. You want to hold on to it. You become invested in you. And what you, of course, you pick it because you want to hold on. He said, the second that you picked it, of course, it's already dead and it's dying now because of your need to identify with it. But you take it home and you put it in the vase on the table, and you come in the second day, it looks so beautiful in the living room. The whole living room looks more magical and alive because of this dead flower. And the second day, it's withered a little. The third day, it's withered a lot. And the fourth day, you have to throw it in the bin. It's all putrid and disgusting. And he says, then you walk into the living room, and he says, you know, it's not the same living room as it used to be. He says, you have no money, you get a little bit of money, a little bit more money, a little bit more money. You become used to the luxury, used to the benefit. And then the stock market crashes, then the bottom falls out of the real estate market, and then you lose your job, and suddenly you can't live without that. Suddenly you don't feel happy or complete without that. I always remember he said this line. He says, of course there's nothing wrong with love. Love is pleasurable, it's good, it feels nice. He says, until you lose the one you love, and you'll come to hate and resent that took her away. He said, the nature of the world is a samsara. The nature of the world is an ocean of desire. This is what he said. He said, it's like you're staring at a beautiful ocean, and the sun is setting, and the sun is full of like the sky is full of oranges and purples, and it's so gorgeous, and it's reflected on the water itself, and you want to connect to it, and you walk into the water and at the beach, and the water is so warm and it's so soft, and the gentle ebb and flow of the waves, it just draws you in, you step in, it's so beautiful, but you don't realize there's a big tide. And the second you step in too far, the tide pulls and it drags you in. He said, the world is a samsara, an ocean of desire. Of course there's beauty, of course there's good, but when you invest in the world, you become identified in the world, and that good drags you in and drowns you. Therefore, the only true path of ultimate life of connection is to step back and to never step into the ocean of desire at all. Is he right or is he wrong? Is he right or is he wrong? This is not a small question, my friend. This is a question we have to do. Does the world drag you in? Is it right or is it wrong? What does Judaism say about this? What does the Torah say about this? I don't care if you're religious or secular. I don't care if you're Jewish or non-Jewish. Let's explore tonight a very profound wisdom tradition. Does Judaism agree or disagree with this statement?
Disagree.
Judaism 100% agrees. Of course, the nature of this world that pulls us in. But the Torah has a different response. The Torah says, for 6 days you shall work, but on the 7th you will rest. Why do we need rest? Because we live in a samsara. Because when you work, you won't want to stop working. You won't want to stop checking your phone. You want to stop monitoring the investments. You want to be thinking about it all the time, so it pulls you in. So our response is then we have oscillate in and out. Of course, eating pulls us in, but that's why we make a blessing, to have a mindful moment of inner connection before I dive in, and then an after blessing after that. Once I've consumed that, I can step out and reconnect to myself and reconnect to my source. So the Torah acknowledges the problem. It just has a different solution. But at this moment, my friends, I'm 24 years old. I don't know Torah. I don't know anything. I haven't thought that much about life. And this person is deeply wise and deeply researched and knowledgeable in his own experience. And I'm a 24-year-old kid, and I'm blowing out of my body. I'm hearing these ideas about all physicality is bad, and there's no value to it, and it's just going to pull you in and pull you down. I want to argue. I want to disagree, but I don't have the words. I don't have the eloquence. I don't have the philosophical sophistication to argue, to debate with him. And at the moment, I've got like 35 seconds left. So after he says this whole thing that he says, I'm just like, no, but it can't be. And he says, yes, it is. I said, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. It was a very intellectual discussion. Right? So we're going back and forward on the pillow, and it's like 2:29 and, I don't know, 45 seconds. We're going back and forward. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. And I can't hold it anymore, because you know that feeling when there's something you want to say, but you can't even find the words to say it, but it's building up within you. And literally with like 5 seconds on the clock, I'm about to explode. And I turned to him, and I think I literally yelled. I said, there must be a way a person could be in the physical world and still be spiritual. And at that moment, he leans forward, looks me in the eyes, and says, are you Jewish? I was in shock. I didn't, the mind boggles, like my mind just went like it froze, like the screen froze, that's what happened. And I didn't even know, because am I Jewish? What do you mean am I Jewish? And why is that relevant? And why is he asking me? And how the heck does he know, right? And I wasn't Jewish anyway. Today I was Buddhist, and last week I was socialist, and next week I'll be feminist. I was just a guy that's searching for stuff, right? So he turns to me with 10 seconds on the clock, 5 seconds, and says, are you Jewish? And I just look at him and go, no. And he looks at me, and I look back, and it's 2:30, and he gets up and walks out. And I go, For 3 more days on the ashram, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I sit in the lotus position, I blast my body into the sky, above the clouds, above the edge, to the highest point of the spiritual world. And there in the highest place is 3 words waiting for me. Are you Jewish? I'm like, shut up, get out. Are you Jewish? Buddha, have manners. You know, Buddha, have compassion on me, please. Oh my gosh. At the end of the retreat, you actually have this kind of gathering where everyone opens up and speaks for the first time. And it was very painful because for 10 days you've projected all these things onto people that you think they are, and then they open up their mouths and disprove you, which is very annoying of them. But I didn't really want to speak to them. I wanted to speak to Guru Steve. And I ran to the ashram to try and find Guru Steve, and there I found Guru Steve in some office at the back going through some papers. And after 10 days, my first official words, I went up to Guru Steve, my first official words were, "Why did you ask if I was Jewish?" And he just looks up and says, "Oh, you are, aren't you?" Like, son of a Buddhist sussman. So I said, "Yes, but how did you know?" "Yes, but how did you know?" And this is what Guru Steve says. He says, "I've been teaching this technique for decades." He says, "I've taught it to thousands of people around the world." He says, "As you see that when we begin the session, when we begin the retreat, there was a lot of people in the room, but over the days, less and less people are there. A lot of people just can't handle it. It's too intense." But he says there's people that can connect and there's people that don't. He said, of the people that are able to connect it with the spiritual depth and the fortitude, whatever, I noticed they basically break down to 2 kinds of people. He says the people that do it and they get it, and they hear the teachings, and they hear the wisdom we share, and they get it, they resonate with it. He says, I've noticed there's another kind of person. A person that's very deep and very spiritual and very soulful. He said, but I noticed they always have the same problem. And their problem is, surely there's a way to be physical and also be spiritual. He said, I've noticed those people always happen to be Jewish. So I said, I didn't have that question because I'm Jewish. I had that question because it just makes sense. And he said, apparently it makes sense if you're Jewish. I was like, son of a Buddhist son, by the way. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that profound? Is it interesting when God wants you, how far he comes to get you? My friends, surprisingly, we're not here to learn about Buddhism tonight. That's disappointing. You can have a refund with all my heart. Take it back and leave it out. Tonight, I want to teach you a Jewish meditation. Tonight, I want to teach you a very profound and deep and fascinating Jewish meditation. And when I say Jewish meditation, I mean 2 things. Number 1, this is an actual Jewish meditation. It's not something I took from Buddhism, put some Hebrew names on, and be packaging out to you, okay? This is, we have an ancient tradition on this, comes down through Hasidic texts and through Mussar texts. It's a very profound and interesting meditation, which is an authentic Jewish tradition, number 1. But tonight what I want to show you is not just a Jewish meditation because it came through our tradition, but it's a Jewish meditation because, and this is what I think is really deep and interesting, what we're going to talk a lot about tonight, it's a thematically Jewish meditation. Because the core of Torah, the Torah spiritual path, which is so deeply rooted in Kabbalah and Chassidus and Kabbalah and the mystical understanding of reality. There's no difference between Torah and Kabbalah. They're just different levels, different dimensions of the same core teaching. And that is the purpose of reality, is not to leave the physical world to attain spirituality, but the purpose of the meaning of life is to reveal spirituality and death even in the physicality. And the more challenged, the more darkness, the more physical something is, the more you turn on the light within it, the more powerful and transformational and cosmic and life-changing and game-changing that is personally and for the whole of the world. So this is what I want to show you tonight, which is really profound. Because the entire model of these other systems, again, I don't want to be over-reductionistic about other profound wisdom paths, but I wanted to appreciate for people seeking to understand a more holistic, deep sense what the Torah path is. This obsession with negating the monkey mind, of releasing the monkey mind. That you have this constant noise in our head, this constant babble in our head. I'm not saying it's a problem, of course it's a problem. And when you work with people deeply, we run seminars all around the world, and thousands of people learn this stuff each year. For sure, the noise in our head, the constant chatter in our head, the tons of projections and delusions that we carry of emotional projections that are in our head, this is our biggest issue. But this idea that we watch it and release it, we watch it and release it because this monkey mind is the noise, is the monster, is the thing we must eliminate. Because to connect to self, we have to free ourselves of the monkey mind. Torah takes a radical shift. There's a profound teaching that goes to the core of all of Torah tradition, all of Kabbalistic and Hasidic tradition, which is the line, Malach al ha'aretz kavoidoi, that everything in the world is full of divine revelation. Everything in the world contains within it divine revelation. So when a certain path may say, hey, we must eliminate the monkey mind, Torah says, hey, you know that monkey mind thing? That's a part of your consciousness. And if it's a part of your consciousness that exists, where does it come from? According to our tradition, that must also come from the divine. If it comes from the divine, then everything that comes to the divine must be good, and everything that comes to the divine must have a purpose. And therefore we ask a deeper question. If that thing is so noisy and so destructive, what was it created for? What was it there for? Perhaps it's there to serve us in some way. Perhaps it can do something so profound that we need it, that we are less served if we eliminate it, and better served if we elevate it. Torah is not a path of negation. Torah is a path of elevation. The mystics posit an idea that says the biggest challenges of your life, the biggest challenges in your consciousness, the biggest challenges that you'll confront on a daily level are not evil in the absolute sense that they are definitively destructive, definitively bad. In Kabbalah, they define evil as a good thing wrongly channeled. A powerful force misharnessed and misfocused. So tonight, I'm going to posit a theory we're going to explore. That what if the monkey mind was not the opposite of your capacity to concentrate? What if the monkey mind was not the opposite of the capacity to get to know yourself? What if it was the engine of your consciousness, the true power? But our issue with it is we never understood it. We never knew how to let it serve us in a positive way, a healthy way. And if you eliminate it, then you connect to yourself, but you're disconnected from a deeper part of yourself. Because the deepest path of Torah, especially in Hasidic tradition, is about holistic integration. You are happiness not when you negate part of yourself to flee to another part. You are happiness when you integrate and align all the parts of your being, all your parts of your consciousness. And the way the Torah tradition teaches us to do that is to give kavod. Kavod is the secret. Kavod means honor and respect. To understand what are our emotions and how do they serve us and how do we give them respect. And what is our fear? Because we're always trying to overcome our fear, eradicate fear, eliminate fear. But fear creates boundaries. Fear allows you to have discipline. Fear often allows you to have motivation. We don't want to negate. We want to elevate. Elevate comes to understanding our use of something. What is it there? What is it for? So we're going to teach you a Torah meditation, and that is to take the thing that everyone in the world is trying to negate, and we're going to show you what happens when we understand what it's there for, how it functions, and you're going to see when you understand that, you get that, you can do some things you're going to see tonight that you never imagined you'd be able to do, at least without serious drugs. Any questions before I continue? Is there a microphone in the house? Handheld thing? Thank you, so I'm going to hold on to it. You trust me with it? Great. Any questions before we go on so far? There's a question over there. Lenny, hold it there for a second. There's some good old-timer friends who are here. If some questions, I want to give anyone new a chance before we go on. Yes, this lady over there. Could you? Hi. Can you pass that to back over there? Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Regina. So my question is, so did your experience at the ashram then lead you further into exploring Judaism?
That's an excellent question, and you should read my biography, and then I talk all about that. Fortunately, it's not out, and won't be out probably for decades, but when it comes out, Regina, I don't want to get too autobiographical, even though I spent the last half an hour doing that. I would say that that was one of the profound pre-Jewish experiences in my life, which opened me up to what's possible in consciousness, in humanity, and in spiritual experience. Right? But the capacity to then find how to channel that in a healthy, balanced, integrated way, and to maintain that, I found in a more significant way in other directions. But I definitely think it's one of the things that opened me up to what's possible in a very profound way. Since then, I've had more profound experiences within the Torah concept, and I've taught other people how to access them without having to sit still for 10 days. And I think the reason they do that is because they don't have a full understanding of the technology of human consciousness. You're going to see how far people are not going to have that experience by the end of tonight, but some people have profound experience by the end of the night, and the meditation part's going to take 10 minutes. And it's amazing that when you understand the technology of consciousness, then what you can do. Remember, this I'll say out loud. I believe this too. You may not believe this too. You don't have this is not a class in dogma tonight. Okay, I'm not asking you to believe anything. It will affect everyone equally. From a Kabbalistic perspective, God created our consciousness. And God gave us the instruction manuals about what it does and what it can do in its ultimate potential. So whether you believe there is a God, or He created my consciousness, or He gave me an instruction manual, is totally irrelevant. But what I found is when I started learning about that and trying that out, it was easier to get higher. And it was easier to sustain that, and there was a more comprehensive and profound understanding of how to integrate that and use that in different ways. I can talk a lot about that. I'm happy to do that. We have a follow-up class tomorrow night, which is more intimate and discussion based on some of the themes tonight. So I'm happy to go into that more, but that's a short answer to the question. You hear it? Fine. Let's move on for now. How good is your concentration? Why I love looking at the audience's faces when I ask that question. Okay, this generation is the devil. Hands up if you have pretty poor concentration. Hands up high. Fantastic. And what about without the Ritalin? It's worse? Isn't that what we're assuming right now? Good. Thank you for your honesty. How long can you concentrate on one thing for totally uninterrupted, so not a single other thought crosses your mind? Just to dig a hole a little deeper. And in case you couldn't concentrate on what I just said, I'll say it again. How long can you concentrate on one thing for, totally uninterrupted, so not a single other thought crosses your mind? Guess. 2 minutes. Good, an optimist. Excellent. Was that? A whole day. Great. And when the drugs wear off, how long does it? What's that? Half a second. What do we have? 5 seconds. Really? Okay. What would you say, ma'am? Same. Okay. I'll have what he's having. Fine. So this is interesting. Would you like to find out? Are you sure? As Jack Nicholson said, you can't handle the truth, right? So I'm not sure. Let's do a little experiment, right? I would like to find out, help you understand, not to give you another reason to have bad self-esteem, because we may be able to tweak it a little tonight. Does anyone have a watch with a second hand I can borrow? Ma'am, you have one? Can I borrow it? Can I get that from you? Thank you so much. I left my home. Wonderful. Do you have a credit card I can borrow? I'm Jewish, I had to try it. Anti-Semites for laughing at that. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to do an experiment. I want to know how long you can concentrate on, for one thing, totally uninterrupted, so not a single other thought crosses your mind. And to do that, we're going to find the most boring possible thing to focus on. Great. This cup. Everyone see this cup? Okay, so what we're going to do, I need everyone to sit up straight on your chair. I need you to uncross your arms and your legs. And it's interesting because people often say, when you say, how long can you concentrate on something for? They often say, well, it depends. Hands over, you're going to say, well, it depends. Well, I beat you to it, fine. So people often say it depends. Well, what does it depend on? They say, well, if something's really interesting, I can focus on it. If something's not interesting, I can't focus on it. So this is true, but this is not a statement about concentration. For example, this is an ADHD generation, and all the kids are drugged up with Ritalin schools, as we know, and no one can concentrate on anything. But I've heard something called, I've heard this exists, I'm not sure if it's true or myth, there's something called Harry Potter. I don't know if he's a real person, or people say he's a real person, and I've heard these movies about Harry Potter. So I was told once, I thought it was funny, that they showed all movies back to back for like 24 hours in cinnamon, all these kids went in and packed it up. So these are people that can't concentrate on anything for more than a second, but suddenly they can sit and stare at a screen for 24 hours. What happened to their concentration issues then? Right? So the answer is that when a wand is turning something into a wagon, which turns it into a car, which turns it into an emu, I don't know, it shows you how much I know about Harry Potter, then everyone's totally fixed to the screen, right? But that's not a statement about their power of concentration. That's a statement that someone needs to reach into their mind and hold their attention. If I was to stand in front of you, God forbid, and slap you across the face every 3 seconds for 2 hours, you'd be incredibly concentrated on me, right? But that's not a statement on your incredible capacity to concentrate. That's a statement on my capacity to reach in and hold your attention. So to find out how good we are at concentration, what we have to do is do something incredibly mundane, incredibly not interesting, because that's going to be a better way to determine what our capacity is to control our own mind. You get that? So this is what we're going to do. Sit up straight in your chair, uncross your arms and your legs. This is called a cup. Do you have these in New York? I hope so, because it's really boring to you, and that's where it's going to be interesting. You ready? I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I'm going to say paper cup. And when I say paper cup, you're going to have your eyes closed just to help you focus, not yet. I want you to think about the cup, only the cup, nothing else but the cup. And the second any other thought crosses your mind at all, I want you to raise your hand. You got that? And then we will know how long you can focus on one thing, totally uninterrupted. One more time. I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I'm going to say, paper cup. You're going to think about the cup, only the cup, nothing but the cup. The second any other thought crosses your mind, you raise your hand. By the way, if you're going, hey, I'm doing pretty good, I'm still focused on the cup, that's also another thought. You have to raise your hand. If you're sitting next to your wife and I'm going to impress her by keeping my hand down for as long as possible, that's also another thought. And tough luck, you have to raise your hand. You got that? Wonderful. And you're not trying to impress me, you're not trying to impress yourself. Let's just be honest and real together to see what comes out. We'll try our man over here that said he has a whole day to concentrate. That means we're probably not going to hear from him until 8 o'clock in the morning. You're clearing out the chairs and tables tonight, let him go. He's got probably another 10 hours left. Here we go. Straight up in your chair, I suggest you close your eyes in case I move around and I distract you, so you just imagine the cup in your mind. It's very simple, the cup, only the cup, nothing but the cup. Don't blow this, don't make a mistake, don't have terrible concentration, your life will be miserable, your kids won't respect you, you'll fail your job. No pressure whatsoever. Only the cup, nothing but the cup. Any other thought at all? Raise your hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cup. Okay, that's pretty terrible. Excellent. First of all, thank you for that person whose phone went off right at that time. That was not planned, but it perfectly proves the point. If that happens in future seminars I do, then it is planned, but this time, that's what we call siyata dishmaya. Amazing. Now, hands up if you were still focused until I pulled you out of it. Great, I distracted you. Time was up to you as well. Okay, that was basically average. I'm calling you average. Average equals terrible, especially in America. Most of the hands are up after about 5 or 6 seconds, probably on average 6, 7 seconds, maybe 7 seconds, a bit more, is what you lasted. Hands up if you lasted felt about 10 seconds. Fine. Hands up if you feel pretty bad about that. Hands up if it's pretty much what you expected. Okay, that's awful. And it says a lot about where we're up to as individuals in society. 7 seconds on average, fine. What if I could teach you in the next 2 hours to double that? Which for some people will be about 5 seconds. It's not so impressive. Okay. What if I could teach the room to triple that? Is that exciting? That'd be impressive? How much would you expect to pay? You said a statement. Okay, so what if no one's so impressed by that? So it's 5 seconds and 50. Okay, what if I get the whole room to have complete, perfect concentration uninterrupted for 20 seconds? That'd be impressive? In New York, is it tough? 30 seconds? If my goal was to impress you, debatable if it is. 1 minute. Hands up if you'd be impressed. If everyone in the room could have a 1 minute concentration, fine. In the next 90 minutes to 2 hours, my goal is to give about 98% of the room 100% concentration capacity without another thought crossing their mind for an unlimited amount of time. So much so that I'm going to have to yank you all out at the end just so they can close up the building and go home. Without drugs, without side effects. And the way that I'm going to do that is not through hypnosis. Is simply telling you how the Torah breaks down the basic map of human consciousness and what are the core parts of your mind necessary to actually concentrate. Because the basic reason you don't know how to concentrate is not because you watch too much MTV or Sesame Street or because of Facebook, though none of those things help for sure. Is because when you go to concentrate, our mind for most people is an amorphous mass. When I say concentrate, you go to concentrate and then you don't concentrate and then you say, what happened? I don't know. I must be bad or wrong or broken or flawed or dumb or stupid, etc., etc., etc. But the Torah asks a very core question. Which part of your mind is necessary to concentrate? In fact, how many parts of your mind are there at all? And which of them are involved within concentration? It's a much more sophisticated, nuanced approach. And what you're going to see in the next few minutes is the way I'm going to miraculously, magically knock you all into amazing capacity of concentration is not do in-depth meditation, so to speak. I'm not going to calm you necessarily, so to speak. I'm simply going to teach you which part of your mind is supposed to concentrate. And when you get that, it's suddenly going to be easy. It'll be the easiest thing you've ever done. You'll be astonished that it can be done so easily and successfully. And almost like, why was I never taught this earlier? When we do these seminars around the world, people have said, why was I never taught this earlier? Why did no one teach this in school? If we have our way, this is what we're going to know. We're going to start teaching these things in schools, in Jewish and non-Jewish, religious, secular. Because if you give a person, this line that the ultimate power is knowledge, and the ultimate knowledge is self-knowledge. When you give a person an understanding of their own inner reality, then anything is possible for them. So tonight, that's the gift I want to give you. I want you to understand your mind. I want you to understand how you can use it a different way. And just in giving the information alone, you'll instantly be able to do things you didn't imagine possible. And that's just the beginning of what's possible to teach. Now, before we continue, I have to ask one more key question. Because motivation is everything. And motivation always begins with understanding the core why and the core what. So the core why and core what to eat this evening is if you could concentrate better. If you did have better concentration, so what? What is the value of increasing your capacity to concentrate? Who'd like to hazard a guess? There's probably multiple correct answers. Yes, sir. Yuan. Long time no see. Old friend. Yes.
How you do everything is how you do anything is how you do everything.
How you do anything is how you do everything, meaning?
Meaning, like, if you can concentrate more in your right now, I can concentrate more at work, I can concentrate more with my girlfriend, I can concentrate like.
So that's great and that's true. So we want to understand, like, now how do we apply that? What would be some of the applications of concentration? Who's got a hand? Who has an opinion? Do people have opinions in New York? It's still legal here? Yes, ma'am.
Be more present in the moment.
More present in the moment. Excellent. Yes. Who else has one? Yes, sir. You can do what? I think you can complete your task to the fullest. It's also true, but you can actually follow through on what you're doing because you can just concentrate and pay attention, not get distracted by Facebook or everything else around it. Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate the moment then.
Right? Living in the moment. Is it true? Yes. There's a hand? Yes. What's that? Productivity, an excellent New York response, right? We can focus on what do we want to achieve, how we're going to achieve it, and we can follow all the way through. Yes, ma'am. Not procrastinate. There's a first time for everything. That would certainly help. What else would you like to say? What's the value of concentration? Yes.
To calm your mind.
To calm our mind of the noise and the monkey mind, which is also necessary and key that we have to learn how to do. Anyone else care to play? Yes, ma'am? Have more time. How does concentration help with more time? You're not wrong. I just want to talk that out. Yes.
Is that wasted time?
No.
Distraction will bring you more.
Right. More, not just more productivity, but more time of success, more time of focus, more time of achieving, less time of distracted. Yes, sir.
Able to be better in your relationships with other people.
Right. We actually pay attention to what they're saying rather than alternatively not paying attention to what they're saying, which unfortunately is how most people do things. Yes, behind him was this gentleman here. Wow, you guys should have built a relationship together. That would be very sweet. Okay, and over here, yes, behind the pole. How so? That's great. How so? Yes. Because you'd understand more things outside of yourself. You could follow through. This is very important. Also, getting a broad view is also helped if you don't sit in front of the pole, then you can see much more. Concentration helps, and seating also helps. If you want to move over, young lady, I don't want you to be blinded by the pole there. So, but all these things are true. It's interesting, because a lot of men and people in general think about productivity, they think about focus, they think of all these kind of things. Motivation is key. We're going to talk at the end about how concentration is connected to motivation, and that's something very deeply misunderstood. You'll figure that out of yourselves tonight when you enter into the state that we're going to teach you how to access. One of the core things is that in the Jewish world, we're kind of taught in the world of learning Torah that we use our mind to solve problems. We're learning the Gemara, we're learning the Talmud, we're increasing understanding, and we're increasing in decision making and analytical analysis, for lack of a better term. So fine, that's all true. But the mystics say the core of the mind is not just about problem solving per se, but the mystics say that what you think about is what you connect to. The core power of the mind is the core medium of connection. That when we think about something, it's the vessel by which we connect to something outside of ourselves. What you think about is what you connect to. And that's something we really have to understand. That the mind is a power of connection, a vessel of connection. And I mean, there's countless examples of this. Someone mentioned the idea of the challenges of relationships. It happens to be that sometimes people come and they share the problems, and you do your best as a rabbi, as a teacher, as a guide, as a friend to help people. There was a couple that came to me one time. It was very troubling. I have to say, no offense to men in the room, but so many challenges in marriage are often issues that the men have, a lack of sensitivity. Nothing against men. Some of my best friends are men. And this was an interesting couple, because when they came with this issue, and you're listening to both of them, and I asked each one to kind of step out of the room, and so I could hear each one's voice. And I felt in this situation that they were both in a lot of pain. They'd lost the core of marriage, which is the idea of trust. And what I was picking up, seeing the red flags, seeing the nuance, is that the man really was giving us all. He was being nimble. He was willing to challenge himself. He was willing to take ownership. But I found that the woman was having problems with that. And the man was saying, no matter what I give, and no matter how kind I am, he said, even more generous I'm giving him, the more the blocks seem to come up. So when I was speaking to her, I explored this a little, and I could see the triggers. And she was even acknowledging the more when he helps out, it's a trigger for me. It was a whole long discussion. So the techniques of discussing Hasidus that we were talking about, and you can learn to tune into a meter, tune into a core emotional element, we're going to discuss a little tonight. And what we found is that when she tuned in, she put her das, her attention onto this core trait within her, she was able to realize that the thing that she was being triggered by her husband, which is often how it happens, was not really her husband, and she went way, way back, and there was a memory that came up that her soul revealed to her. I don't remember the story exactly, but approximately she was a tiny little girl. She was 6, 7, 8, and she came home from school, and she had this cup, and it was something like Father's Day, and she gave the father the cup, and as she was giving the father the cup, she fell, she dropped the cup, and the cup broke, and her father started screaming at her. It was a whole thing, and her father slapped her across the face. I want you to think about what a slap is. How long does a slap last? A second? Half a second? Split second? So some slaps last like half a second, and some slaps last like 36 years. And this woman, who, once you can pull out of that state as an intelligent, reasonable person, the more the husband tried to come close, the more she felt vulnerable, wanting to come closer to him, the more that woke up this feeling of utter rejection and embarrassment and shame. And therefore, she was much more with the pain and the anger and the hurts than she was with the love and the connection. Now, that's very interesting, because your mind is, the Baal Shem Tov says something very profound. You are where your thoughts are. You are where your thoughts are. What the Baal Shem Tov says there is a big secret to high-level, transformational, transcendent mystical experience. But he's also talking about the basic application, which means psychologically, physiologically, with the adrenaline in the body and the entire muscle and everything, when her husband is giving her love, but she is experiencing that slap. She is more with the slap. She is more in the pain. Her body is tensing up. Her adrenaline is pumping. She's more where her mind is than she is with a husband in front of her. You are where your thoughts are. The mind is a mechanism of connection. When she's connecting to the past and the pain in the past, she's experiencing the pain in the present. And that's not just true in a negative way, that's true in a positive way. If you've ever read Viktor Frankl's incredible work, Man's Search for Meaning, so the incredible idea of like, what did it take for people to survive the Holocaust? What did it take for people to survive Auschwitz? I don't want to be overly reductionistic again on a complex theory, but the idea of who made it and who lost it, he said there were people that were alive in Auschwitz but were already dead because every second of their life was consumed by survival and just trying to stay alive and what's the potato, where am I hiding the potato, and how am I going to live the potato, how do I steal his potato, and all these kind of things. But he realized that the people that were alive in the Holocaust, that managed to live, but not just live in the future, but live in the present, is because he said there's an idea that they had a belief, they had a value that they believed in, and they didn't allow their mind to become consumed with survival. They started thinking about the future. If I got out, I want to lecture internationally about morality, about ethics, about the human potential, about human destruction. He saw himself in lecture theaters taking that stage, making a contribution, and therefore his body felt alive, his body felt free, his heart, his emotions pumped in that direction. So you are where your thoughts are. And you build a relationship either with your pain, you build a relationship with your success, because what you think about is what you connect to, and what you connect to is what you build relationship with. What you think about is what you connect to, and what you connect to is what you build a relationship with. I mean, on a basic level, here's a question I ask so many couples when they come and ask for help. It's a devastatingly hard question if you're not ready for it. You speak to a couple married for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you ask them a question. Do you love your spouse more today than you did 6 months ago? Hands up if you love your spouse more today than you did 6 months ago. And if they're here, you better put up your hand right now. I'm telling you. Professional rabbinic advice right now. It's not easy to say, do you love your spouse more today than you did 5 years ago? And many people say, and sometimes men say, hey, we're married, aren't we? And that line kind of says it all, doesn't it? You know, if we live together in the same proximity, doesn't love increase? And the answer is no, not at all. And sometimes mistrust increases, and sometimes pain and bitterness and resentfulness increases. Love is only developed through thought. The more you think about the person, the more you think about the goodness, the more you think about the value, the more you think about gratitude, you connect with that gratitude, that goodness, and therefore you build a relationship with that gratitude and that goodness and that value. When you think about how stupid they are, you think about how incompetent they are, you think about how messed up they are, then you build a relationship with that heart. And therefore your capacity to increase love in any relationship is only dependent on your capacity to put your attention and concentrate on the good. That's what increases the love, not the proximity. Proximity does not create love. Attention creates love. So if you understand that, I ask religious people all the time. I don't want to be attacking religious people somewhere, but there's friends of religious people. But you can say to my brothers and sisters, including myself, do you love God more today than you did 6 months ago? More than 5 years ago? I'm sure there's very few people who want to say, yes, I do, and I appreciate how firm that answer is. But when we check the depth of our heart, it's not always easy to say that. And the answer is, you can do a bunch of mitzvahs, commandments every day, and we're just being honest and real in a beautiful way. And that does not mean you increase your relationship with the divine. It doesn't mean you increase your relationship with yourself. That still takes thought. That still takes appreciation, that still takes gratitude, that still takes meditation. You still have to be able to think of the good and meditate on the good. And when you put your mind as what you connect to, what you connect to is what you build a relationship with. But if we're just doing a bunch of stuff and we don't add that part as well, then over time, absolutely it happens. You build more bitterness and more resentfulness and more disconnection, even though you're doing all the things. Your mind is the power of connection. Connection is about the power of relationship. And therefore, if you can't control your mind, if you have at best 7 seconds, then you can't control how you feel about things. You can't control what you build a relationship with. You can't control where you're going, what you're motivated by, because it's out of your control. And when it's out of your control, you should be guaranteed to know, as all the mystics teach us, when your mind is not in your conscious control, your animal natures will take over, and you will find reasons to hate, to resent. You won't even build a relationship with your best self. You'll see yourself as a failure, as nothing, as confused, as stuck, as broken, of all these things. Because we don't even know how to build a connection, a relationship with ourselves. So the power of concentration is not an incidental thing so you can do better at your exam studying, whatever. It's the capacity to function and develop on the highest level as a human being. Yes, ma'am.
Question. So when you say that, like those people who like med school and study, like they have a better control.
Yes. Try that again. What do we think about the people that went to med school and study and...
Yeah, like the people who became lawyers or who got their own business or went to medical school, do you feel like they have a more sense of control, sense of connection? Because they...
Well, let's talk about all those people all together. And I'm glad they're all here tonight so we can finally address them. Listen, you lawyers and doctors. Well, we did say concentration is what maketh the man or maketh the person, right? That's the tool. Now you have to know what in life is worth focusing on. You can take your wonderful power of attention and concentration and get some big law degree because you want covered and honored, and now you feel you have the car and the jobs and the lifestyle, and surprise you're miserable because you built connection and relationship with the wrong thing. Because I'm not saying law is the wrong thing. Anything can be used for good. Medicine can be used for good. Medicine is often not used for good, right? So it's only one of the many tools necessary. But it's a core. It's your capacity to choose who you are, what you become, and what matters most. So that's what we're going to learn tonight, how to concentrate, and you're going to see amazing things you can do with your mind when you can concentrate and build connection. Number 1. Number 2, here we go. To teach you how to concentrate, we need to deconstruct the amorphous part of your mind that says, okay, I'm trying to concentrate, oh, well, I didn't, let's get pizza. In 3 steps of human consciousness. Try, fail, pizza. That's based on a Zohar. It's more or less. Blame it on Kabbalah. I want to deconstruct your mind a little. When we have a full online program with the seminars, and we talk about that all of human consciousness can basically be understood with 7 core faculties. There's 7 core faculties of human consciousness. And when you understand what they are and what their names are and how they work, so you have incredible self-knowledge. And there's amazing things you can do almost instantly just by understanding them. So tonight I want to break down a few of those that are relevant to the subject of concentration and motivation. So I'm going to give you a literal 10-minute crash course in your consciousness. I think it's kind of weird that you're all grown up, so we still don't know this stuff, but better late than never, as they say. And I'm going to put this on this tiny little board that no one can see, and then I can see it and feel good about myself as a teacher. Wonderful. That's the deal. Boy's going to come and hold up the board for everyone. Not really, you shouldn't do that. No. Fine. Wait, he's going to make it levitate. That's tomorrow night's class. Oh, nice. First style. Thank you, Roy. Round of applause, yes. I forgot you're Americans, you love to clap in public. Excellent. Okay, here we go. We're going to do a crash course in consciousness, how it works. I'm going to teach you 5 elements of your mind tonight. There are more, as we've said, but these are the 5 you need to know to have an interesting, relevant discussion on the power of concentration and motivation. So it goes like this. I'm going to teach you these ideas. I want to teach you the Hebrew words. When we learn words in Hebrew, especially about consciousness, there's an extra power because the words always embodied within them the secrets of the parts of the consciousness they're referring to. Whether we fully understand that tonight or we come back to that at later times learning together, it's always cool to know and relevant, and it unlocks a lot of beautiful secrets at its core. So I want to teach you the words, but more than teaching the words, I want to teach you the internal method points of your consciousness that the words are pointing to. The words are not the thing, the words are indicating the thing, okay? So more than just showing you the words and we give an intellectual definition, I want you to experience the elements in real time in your being, because when we, in the big finale tonight, when we enter into the experience, I want you to know what it is you're experiencing doing, okay? So we're going to begin with a little exercise. I'm going to put this on the board right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're going to have 5 parts of our consciousness. We're going to do it together. Now, I'm going to give you a little experience just to open up the discussion point. Everyone, one more time to sit up straight in your chair, uncross your arms and your legs. I need you to be 100% sure your cell phone is off. There's guaranteed at least one person in this room is 100% sure their phone is off, and it's totally on and on extra loud. So to save yourself embarrassment, please check it right now. And you owe me. That was you? Excellent. Okay, here we go, my friends. So what I want you to do right now is make sure everything is out of your hands, completely out of your hands. Now we're going to do a little experiment just to unlock and open up, stimulate and awaken different parts of our consciousness so we can then begin to tag and explore and define each one. Are you ready? It's very simple. We're going to do an exercise right now. This exercise is very brief. It lasts approximately 60 seconds. The reason I'm telling you that is because some people will be quite an uncomfortable 60 seconds. Don't take it personally. But I want you to know, joyfully, it won't last longer than about 60 seconds. And you'll be fine and you'll live. And we've never killed anyone doing this exercise. People have gone away in ambulances, but they've recovered after weeks. And I want you to know they'll be totally fine. Okay, so I'm going to basically stand here. You're going to sit up straight, uncross your arms and your legs. You're going to open up the palms of your hands like this. I'm going to stand here and basically say one word for 60 seconds. In fact, I may say 2 words for 60 seconds. And as I say these 2 words, what I simply want you to do is look at me the whole time, give me your full attention and focus, and listen to the words, and let whatever happens, happen. It's pretty simple. You sit there, you look at me, I say 1 or 2 words for 60 seconds, and whatever happens, happens. And things will happen. And what do you think, like, what weird Kabbalistic word is he going to say that's going to create these things? So we'll find out shortly. Now, I'm going to give you a heads up of some of the things that will happen. There's about 4 things that will likely happen. The first thing is you may feel some physical shift in your body. Maybe some physical shift in all of your body, some part of your body. It could be something for pleasure, for some people it will be pain. That's one thing that may happen. Number 2, you may feel some emotion, feeling of emotion or desires awaken. That's very normal, and I just want you to be aware of it. Oh, that's coming up, that's interesting. That feeling, fine. Next is imagery and memory. As I'm just saying these 1 or 2 words, there may be imagery or memory from your past, from your present, another person, another place, space, or time, that seems to pop up into your head. You got that? I just want you to watch that and be aware of that. Fine. The 4th one is beliefs. Beliefs about yourself, beliefs about me, beliefs about life, the universe, and everything, beliefs about God. I don't know what could come up. But the first one is some kind of belief may pop into your head. And I just want you to go, oh, that's interesting. So in review, what was the first one that may happen? Physical shift in the body. Second one, feelings or emotions that get stimulated. Third is imagery and memory. 4th is beliefs about me, saying these words to you, about yourself, about your life, about people you know. Fine. And this whole exercise is going to last about 60 seconds. And you're going to be fine. I want you to know you're going to be fine. You ready? Sit up straight, uncross arms and legs. Rub the palms of your hands together like this for a second. Great. And open palms, able to receive. Here we go. No matter what happens, my friends, keep your eyes right on my eyes. As much as possible, try not to break. Everyone take a deep inhale. Hold it, and a deep exhale. Deep inhale, and a deep exhale. Wonderful, back to normal breathing. Eyes on me the whole time, as long as you can. No. No. No, 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 no. No. Up. Up. No. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Body, emotions, feelings, imagery, memory, beliefs. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Inhale. Hold it and exhale. And inhale and exhale and release. Okay, we finished. Everyone shake out your hands for me. Everyone stand up for a second, please. Shake your hands and stand up. Okay, we need to turn around, keep turning around. Turn around, 360, shake your hands. Great, do the hokey pokey. Wonderful, have a seat. Okay. Okay, that's it. And we're back. Some tears there, some intense emotion. You're still here. You okay? Fine. Hands up if that was an interesting experience for you in some way. Fine. Hands up if you're a little surprised by your response to either of that in any way. Excellent. I was hoping you would be. For 1 minute now, and this may be hard for some of you, therefore I'm begging you to do it and give it your full attention. I want everyone to turn to the person next to you in 1 or 2 at the same time. And I want you to share a little of what happened in there, physically, emotionally, imagery, memory, and beliefs. And if it makes you feel awkward to do that, great. Talking about your inner world is very healthy, and it's worth the $5 entry, whatever you paid. Okay, you ready? I want you to keep your attention on this. I want you to listen to what happened, because it's going to help you shortly to listen and pay attention and understand and process this together. And go for it now.
Okay.
full attention for a moment, please. Okay, this is going to be fun. Wonderful. We need to process this out loud a little together. Take you where I want to take you. Bear with me. Hands up if you felt some weird physical response in your body. There's some variety. Would anyone care to share that a little with us and talk to that so we get a sense of that together? Yeah, who else over here? There's this gentleman over here. Pass that mic back. Let me try and run all the way over to you. Yes, sir. Hi, you're an online program.
Yes.
What's your
I just
name?
joined. Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Welcome to the
Hi,
show.
thank you.
Yes.
Came
What?
from Florida just for this.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I came all the way from Israel, so I beat you. I just want you to know. I have a big ego. I just need to show you that. It's from man to man. Okay, Jeff. That's beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
So 99% in my mind, I was thinking, because I just did this in the master class
Right.
the other day,
Right.
that you were going to do that, but I wasn't sure.
Right.
So when it started, I said, oh, I know what's going to happen, and the exact
Same thing happened.
But I
Right.
had a different response. On the nose, I started laughing.
Right. Laughing is, what's laughing? It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a cover-up. That means I'm preempting something negative happening, and I'm certainly so manly, it's certainly not happened to me, then why do I need to laugh?
Well, then when the yeses came, I
Right.
get real solemn and quiet.
Uh-huh.
And I started to realize it's because I'm using those no's to kind of take away from experiencing positive things in my life.
Right.
And I'm laughing at the no's, saying, oh, I can't do that, or all the positives. So
Right.
it's kind of opposite.
Well, that's an awesome insight. Thank you for sharing that. Did anyone find, there's a minute we have to clap, yes. If it works for you, go for it. We love you, America. Did anyone find that when the nose started, hands up if you felt like intense negative feeling in your body for no? Okay, fine, there's a lot of people. I want to say great, I'm not great that you're feeling negative things. Great to know what's there, because that's the beginning of turning it around. Watch this carefully. Did anybody find that when the nose started and kicked in, that you kind of went, hang on, I don't have to feel this, and you kind of just cut it out? Hands up if you realize to cut it out. Hands up high. Watch the hands, watch the hands. High, high, high. Keep them up, keep them up, keep them up. Great, now keep those hands up high, don't put them down. When the yeses came in, hands up if you didn't feel those either. Hands up high, hands up high, hands up high. You see those hands? That's very interesting. Some people find in life when something happens to trigger them with a negative feeling, negative meaning they don't like that and they don't want that. What they realize is, hey man, I don't have to feel bad about this. I know how to block that. And that's great, right? And what happens when then positive feeling comes? Then they're still blocked, and they don't know how to unblock it. There's many people that you deal with in life who go through intense trauma as a child. And well, they come to you, and then generally say, I'm disconnected from my wife, I'm disconnected from my husband, from my relationships with my kids, from my job. And you say, why? I'm just cut out. And then you find out there's intense trauma in their life, right? Now, when trauma happens to children, there's many possible responses to that. So one possible response is that the trauma is overwhelming, just crashes the child. But there's another kind of child that's incredibly resilient and just keeps moving forward. Now, one of the ways they achieve resilience to that situation, there are healthy ways to achieve resilience, but there's another way that they achieve, is they realize, hey, I don't have to feel this pain of my parents getting divorced. I don't have to feel the pain of this abuse. I can just cut out my heart. And that's great, isn't it? It is, until they enter into a relationship later, they need the heart back. Now, I'm going to ask you an interesting question. So is the move that they made when they were 10 years old in an abusive situation where they cut out their heart, was that good or not good? Was it right or was it wrong? What's the answer?
Not good.
It was right, wrong, wrong. The answer, it was the right move at the time. Sometimes the emotional response is the best that they had. No one was guiding them in a meditation, Jewish meditation retreat at the time. No one was showing the capacity. So the move that they made allowed them to survive in that moment. But sometimes we make decisions and we lock that in our consciousness that we don't know how to consciously unravel later once it's become hardwired, so to speak. So it's interesting to see that sometimes what you do in a microcosm of this room hints to a greater macrocosm of what's possible. There's some people in this room that just experienced right now when Daniel Katz was saying no, 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 they kind of went, hey, dude, I don't have to feel this. I'm just going to block that. Hey, look what I did. But suddenly the yeses came and they couldn't experience the positive there. And if you did that tonight, I promise you, you're probably also doing that in another part of your life, and that's worth considering. Okay, who had some kind of, who felt emotions or some intense emotions came. Anyone care to share a little? I know it takes a little courage. This is America. I thought you like sharing emotions in public. That's a answer. Well, men sharing emotions in public. This would never happen in any other country. Could you stand up, sir? Yes.
So when I see people yelling at their kids, I get nervous knots. Going back to childhood, so when you said no, I felt like I was like 4 or 5 years old again.
You went back to childhood. So what was in there? That was. Says, "Oh, I'm sorry to do that to you." Well. It says, "You're a bit huggy." Come on, we're nice. We like each other. It's okay. Could we do something with that? Thank you. Great. Yeah.
So the childhood, no, I just felt like kids get yelled at.
No, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
When I was yelling, I was saying no. The no was like you were being yelled at, or you said when kids get yelled at.
I felt like I was 4 years old again. 4 or
Right.
5 years old.
Now I want you to like zoom into your body. Did you feel that physically, emotionally? Was there imagery or memory? Or what actually happened in that?
Nervous knot.
Nervous knot.
Yeah.
Did it have a particular image at a particular time? No. So how did you know it was about childhood? I'm not saying you're wrong. Just exploring that.
Over the years,
You've kind of mapped that out.
Yeah.
You mapped out that association. That's
but
fascinating.
I alluded to earlier when I see a kid getting yelled at, I still get the nervous knots from it.
You're seeing that that's happening to
I
the
see
child,
myself in
reflecting
that.
the whole as a spiegel, a mirror, says the Bauhaus. Thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting. Hold in there. Any image memories that came to people? You can share a little. Yes, there are your hands. Like maybe I do, maybe I don't.
About the no?
About yeses or nos? Stand up, Everson. Yes.
I just felt like a little bit distrustful and a little bit repulsed by the yeses. And I know, not you, not like disgusted by you, but.
See, I won't take it personally. I mean, you're never coming to my classes again, but. We have it like out forever, right? Can we do that? Yeah. Distrustful and repulsed.
And a little bit repulsed. And I was that child that blocked both the negative and the positive. So I realized it's because I didn't trust the positive, because everything was.
Because trusting the positive equals that if I step into this, I'm making myself vulnerable. And if I make myself vulnerable, then I risk getting slammed in some way.
Right.
Now, I thank you for your honesty. I can tell you've done enough work to say that easily with a smile on your face and charm as well. I mean, it's just good to know, where did you experience that right now? It was a body thing, an emotional thing, the image memory thing?
Well, it was the same person doing the no's and yeses.
Right.
And it was just kind of like that, a little bit of that block, like,
Right.
feeling.
Right.
I didn't have a specific image, just like an age,
Right.
probably.
An age. So you see, there's a kind of awareness of information. There's a kind of sense of how I am at that age, my level of maturity. Okay, fine. Thank you for sharing. Anyone have any beliefs? Oh, hang on. Anyone have any beliefs? A belief that came in? Anyone aware of beliefs? Yes. Do you stand up for it? I throw my mic in your direction. Yes. What's your name?
Stacy.
Stacy. Yes.
Okay, so I was like trying to follow the rules, so I was like, oh, I have to follow it, you know, and I'm like, in my head, I started feeling a lot of scenarios of like rejection.
Rejection from?
So
No. I didn't mean, could you please list all the things you've been rejected from? If you want to, that's interesting. I'm sure the audience should pay double to hear that. Well, no, I just meant like you felt rejected from the words I was saying, or a particular.
like literally imagining scenarios where I was
That were the past or the future? Past. So it knocked you into imagery of rejection.
and then when you started the yeses, I started thinking to now, like, times where like I had positive.
Right. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Do you see how unbelievably vulnerable our consciousness is? How unbelievably vulnerable our consciousness is, that I can put you in a state of regressing you into past memories of trauma, that I can put you in a state of making you feel happy or miserable or trigger your blocks. Not I, Daniel Katz, but I, anyone or anything all the time as we go through our life. Everything is stimulating of that. And we are affected whether we want to be affected or not. We don't know how to turn that off. We don't know how to tune ourselves in. In fact, right now, hands up if you're still feeling some of the emotion or imagery from before. Hands up high if you're still feeling that. Right. Now keep your hands up high. Everyone hands up high. Now watch this for a second. Hands up if you're still feeling the positive. You still feel so happy from the being validated by Daniel Katz's yeses. You see not so many hands. Hands up if you're still feeling the negative. Watch all the hands go up. There you go. You see that? Not only is our consciousness out of our control, not only are we super triggered by everything, we're often much more triggered by negative than positive. That's why you always see an issue with people within sales, and they're on the phone all day making sales. They do 50 sales in a row. On the last call, they get a sale, and the person hangs up and rejects, and they walk out feeling like a failure. My life's going anywhere. I'll never have any success. Right? It's because the negative in our life gets triggered faster. And there's deep Kabbalistic reasons, and our consciousness is why that's true. But that's not. It's a nice discussion. So putting this all together, my friends, there's physical response, there's emotional response, there's imagery and memory, and then there is beliefs. These have terms in the Torah. In a map of human consciousness, I'm going to do this very, very fast. The body level is called the nefesh or the guf. I'm going to call that tonight the guf. That's the physical part of the body that involves your heart rate, your adrenaline, and then there's knowledge in there. Isn't it interesting that fear or emotion can be sent physically in the body? Did you know that emotions always have physical manifestations, representations? The Baal Shem Tov, the Zohar, the Rambam all says that most of physical illness, they all discuss this as coming from deep emotional states. And this is well known even by science today, is finally thousands of years getting back together and realize the effect between emotions, between trauma and cancer and illness. And we've worked even a part of our project of creating incredible healing in people that medicine didn't work for, just to show them how to release the buildup in the body. So right now, this is called the mind-body connection. Right now, you saw that in real time. That when someone says a simple word, it goes into beliefs, it goes into imagery, it goes into emotion, it goes straight in real time to the body. That's pretty interesting. So that's called the level of guf. Now above that, there was a level of the emotion of the feeling, and that's what we call midot. A midah is a singular of midot. And it's fascinating to know in both Chassidus, in both Kabbalah, even the Vilna Gaon says this, in Musa, that the purpose of this world is to fix our midot. The purpose of life, the purpose of Torah is to transform our animal emotional self. And when we transform the engine of consciousness, which is the heart, the midot is the heart, the seat of human motivation is the heart, then we transform the entire being. So this idea of emotions, the Baal Shem Tov says there are 7 core emotions and no more. Love, fear, and ego, the 3 primary ones. And if we know the art and the wisdom of the mind, and then we know the wisdom of the mind tells us how to elevate and transform the heart, and all the midas, including fear, including lust, including ego, according to Chassidus, amazingly, are not bad. In fact, they're innately good and innately divine, as long as they're channeled well. When you're overcome by fear and anxiety is a positive thing when it's used and channeled well in a divine way. So Torah is always about, we don't negate our midas, we don't eliminate fear, we don't eliminate ego, we use it in a healthy way. There's people that don't have any ego, no sense of self, and they can't function. There's people who, their ego is controlling their whole reality, so it's about finding the middle path and the elevated path. So that's called midot. Number 3 is the imagery and memory has a few different words. Sometimes it's called kehorim, for the Torah Jews that like to hear these words. And tonight one of the key words we're going to use is dimyon. Dimyon, imagery and memory, is the word dimyon. Hands up if you've heard of this word before in Hebrew, dimyon. Okay, let's just practice these words together, because I'm going to show you some cool things with each other. Everyone say guf. Guf. Loud and proud. Guf. Thank you. Midot. Louder. Midot. Dimyon. Dimyon. Gesundheit. Thank you. The dimyon is the imagination. Now, the imagination is very profound. It's something interesting we're going to see tonight. There's a core properties of all these things. One of the core properties of imagination, as opposed to, okay, there's another one in here, I don't want to go into, I don't want to get caught. Well, one of the properties of imagination, these will become relevant tonight for the place we want to go, for the experience we want to have. So imagination is the core properties. The first idea is that what's the difference that you would describe between intellect and imagination? They're both something happening in my mind, theoretically. But we want more nuance, we want more understanding. So while the intellect can be purely intellectual, so to speak, one of the core properties of dimyon, imagination, is that it's called siyurei chushi in the Muslim language. It's sensory thought. In the Kabbalistic language, they say that the dimion, the imagination, actually has the 5 senses within thoughts. That means you see something in your head. When you hear a voice, there's a hearing of a voice. You're talking something out. There's sight, there's sound. So, and it makes something tangible and real. When you think about something imagined, it becomes tangible and real with your senses. So one of the properties of dimion, and we'll process that together when we get to the practical stuff, it makes things real and tangible and sensory. You've got that? You really feel it, right? So that's one. Now, and another idea about dimion is it's the emotionally projected thinking patterns. Dimion is that they come from the heart, they're emotionally projected, right? That means when I feel, right now you felt fear, and then you suddenly flash back to when you were 5 years old and something happened. So that means the imagery of that time when that happened to you, that time when my father did something, that time when that challenge went up, that's being projected up by a middah. So the middah is like the slide and the slide projector, but the screen, so to speak, where the imagery comes up, the movie, the story itself, the narrative is called in the often New Age kind of language, or psychological language, the narrative is coming up from the dimion. So in one sense it's sensory, you're really seeing it, you're really hearing it. In another sense it has that emotional projection, that emotional energy. A third fascinating thing, which I'm sure you know well, and if you put these pieces together you see big exciting things and twists and turns at the end of the session when we do this. A third powerful, fascinating thing about dimion is its circular thinking patterns. You know what it's like, you're lying in bed and you have a job interview tomorrow and you're thinking, you know, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to go this job and I need money and I need money to pay the rent and I need money to propose to my wife and I need money to do this, this, and this, and this. And you know, but I'm probably going to get rejected, like the time I got rejected with a paper round when I was 12 years old. I didn't even want to do the paper round. My father made me do the paper round. My father, I'm sick and tired of my father. And you know, he doesn't call, he doesn't write. I'm glad he doesn't call, because he write. You know, what's he going to think if I don't get the job? Oh my gosh, I got the job interview tomorrow. I can't believe I got the job interview. Remember, I got fired for like a paper round. I didn't want to, who the heck wants to be a paper boy? Doesn't even pay any money. You know, my father said to me, I'm sick and tired of my father. He doesn't write, doesn't call. I'm glad he doesn't write and call. But he's probably going to call. I'm sure if I don't get the job, the first thing he's doing is going to call up when I get a job. So you know that idea? You ever had that before? It's not just me? Thanks. I feel much more validated right now. That paperboy thing, I never got over that. So this nature of dimion is always circular thinking. That's going to be very deep. You're going to see that shortly, what that means in the significance of your mind and the structured reality and dynamics between men and women. But on target, concentration, that's the name of the class right now. A core idea which is very profound is that dimion always works in circles and spirals. Fine. And there's another thing we have, which I don't even want to put up on the board right now. I'm going to use a kind of wrong word, but it's close enough for tonight. The beliefs are coming from Machshava. It's not really, I don't want to use, just go with me that way for now, and we'll have to, if we learn to get together in the future, I'll clarify this. Machshava, so to speak, is the beliefs that we have about things. Not just, I was saying no to you, and not just you felt fear, but that you feel I am never enough. I am never enough is not just me saying no to you, it's not just feeling fear, but it's a whole belief system that forms in my mind. And things that happen to us in our life, when they go into our body, when they go into emotions, when we create these narratives that go round and round, we actually always create beliefs about them. This has got to do with Amalek, of Suffolk, of doubt in the mystical language. But this is the misunderstandings we have of understanding of reality, of beliefs about reality, will often inform the negative emotional states and spirals. Can you see these on the board, how they correspond to the 4 experiences that you had? Hands up if you get that. Okay. There's one thing I missed. There's one thing I missed, friends. When I just said yes or no to you, I asked you to turn to each other and I said, go over what you experienced. And some of you experienced something in your body, some experienced emotions, some experienced imagery or sensory, some of you experienced beliefs. But there's one other part of your consciousness then that was fully activated and engaged. Besides the people that have seen this class before, I've also seen this class, and I'm not going to say it out loud. Maybe you'll clap for me as well. What was the last 5th part that was involved in that process? Your neshama. Neshama is a very good Jewish word. It means the soul. And your neshama is involved with everything all the time. I'm going to challenge you to be even more specific tonight. I want you to, don't guess words. I want you to think back to the experience. I felt my emotions, I felt my body, I felt my beliefs, my memory, my images. But there was another part in it. The second I tell you, we're going to go, ah, that's true. What was the 5th part within that, sir? The what?
Gentleman.
Oh, the gentleman. It's like we were pointing to the fifth part, which I have put in under the table. Yes, sir?
I was just going to say the intellect.
What was the intellect?
Meaning I started thinking.
Well, I'm going to push you on this because we have to be very precise. There's an intellect which analyzes things. Were you analyzing what was happening? That could be. That's part of the 7 faculties, but there's something else. This wasn't really about an analysis. You're close, but I'm just going to force you to say something exactly because I want you to be precise. There's a lady over here. Well, what does that mean? Questioning what you're doing, which means? Okay, so that we're getting there. There's a part of you that's responding to the process. Right?
I didn't know if you were saying no or no.
Okay. So that's like almost a curiosity, a query in there. So I'm going to push what you're saying further. You're onto it. I want you to be precise. Yes, sir.
Processing to make sense of it, to put it in a sort of internal.
We're starting together. Keep going. You're saying it. Yes, sir. What's that? The ability to name each one. You see what everyone's trying to sense here, sir? Well, it's the word of what the consciousness is doing is interpreting. But what I want you to describe is the consciousness itself. The ego, meaning there's a self that was watching it happen. The watcher, the witness, the witnessing self. Hands up if you've heard this language before, right? See, we don't know. In Hebrew, how do you say witness? Does anyone know? It's the word aid. It's very, very deep. Does anyone know what this part of your consciousness is called, which is called the atzius? It's the true self, the aware self, the conscious self. You see, you are feeling afraid, or you're feeling angry, and you're watching an imagery, and you're feeling upset, right? You're going through all those things. And then I said, turn to the person next to you and tell, and you started explaining. If you're feeling upset, where was the you that knew that you were upset? That means there was a part of you that was watching, that was distant, that was separate, that was a witness of all of that. In Torah, that's called the you, the true self, the true being. That's called da'at. Da'at. Now, when you write that in Hebrew, interestingly, it's written like this. Which, I'll start that again. Not such a good board solution. We will solve that next time. It's called da'at. Now, it's interesting. Sometimes it's called da'at, to know, to be aware, to be consciousness. If I flip around the letters to know, daled ayin, I actually get a. In Hebrew, the name of the consciousness actually is witnessing. That's thousands of years old. The letters that say the consciousness of true self is literally the same letters that say I am the witnessing consciousness. So there was the part of you which is the self. There was the part of you that saw, that watched, that was aware. And that part of you is also got, is the key thing I want you to know, your ratzon. Ratzon means will. It's the part that says, hey, look what's happening. Maybe I want that to happen. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm going to choose something else to happen. Maybe I'm going to block that. Maybe I'm going to turn and interpret that. Maybe I'm going to turn to a friend and discuss that. So there's a will, there's a self, there's a watcher. There's the body response, there's the emotional response, there's the image and memories, there's beliefs, and there's the self that sees them. It's the greatest self that they all exist within. Has everybody got that? Here's the $1 million question. If you've seen this class, please don't say this out loud. Part of the beauty of this experience is letting you figure out the secret tonight for yourself. Which of these 5 parts of your consciousness, which one is it? Which of these 5 parts of the consciousness is what we use to concentrate? You see, I love this question. Asking the question is so profound. It's such a Jewish thing to do. What do you mean? I can concentrate? I can't concentrate. What do you want from me? The doctor said I can't. I'm taking medicine. Leave me alone. What do you want? I'm a great concentrator. I've got top marks. Who cares about all these stupid people who can't concentrate? So we're like, no. That's not how we were created as human beings. You have incredible capacity, more than you understand right now. And I want to teach you how to do this. So we say, well, if the car breaks down, the car doesn't work. So you say, go to the mechanic, start the car. He says, I don't know. I tried to start the car. It didn't work. I guess kill the car. Give the car Ritalin, right? So you go to a mechanic because the mechanic knows how to pop the, what do you call it, the hood, the bonnet? What do you call it in America? Hood. What do they call it in Australia? Bonnet? What do you call it? I forgot. That's where you and I moved up to. Married American serves us right. They pop the bonnet, and I kind of go, hey, the car doesn't work. I guess I'll get a taxi forever. And the mechanic says, hey, I know all the pieces, and I understand the separate parts and the interaction between them, and he can magically get something that doesn't work to work. That's what you're going to do right now, and you can do the dirty work yourself. I'm giving you all 2 minutes exactly to solve this riddle. Which one of these 5 parts of your consciousness? There's other parts of the consciousness. Heads up, you don't need them to concentrate. You need them from other things. You have your body, you have your emotions, you have your imagination, you have your belief systems, and you have the self. Which one of these is the thing that you use to concentrate? Hands up if you basically know the answer already. Good luck with that, okay? I'm giving you everyone 90 seconds right now. Turn to the person, solve it. Solve the problem right now. Talk it out together, try and solve it. Figure it out. Be precise. Which one is it? Okay, wonderful. Let's do this. Let's do this, friends. Guys, and go, wow, that hand is bouncing off the ceiling. We're going to get to you. Okay, hands up if you have the answer. Hands up if you have the answer. Hands up high, hands up high. Come on, you can do it. No one in this group has an answer. No one has, now they got a hand. Hands up if you have an answer. Hands up if you have no answer to this at anyone because you can't pay attention, you have no idea what I've been talking about for the last hour and a half. I get into the class on concentration, but I couldn't pay attention to it. Joke's on me. Hands up if you have the answer. Hands up high, let's see. Hands up if you're so confident you're willing to put money on it. Lucky for you, I'm fundraising tonight. Yay! Not really, on both of those points. Fine, okay. Let's see. Hands up if the answer is das. Hands up if you're pretty confident about yourself. Excellent. Hands up if it's machshavas, beliefs. Fine. Great. Hands up if it's dimion. No. Feel pretty good about yourselves, let's see. Fine. Hands up if it's midot, emotions. Hands up if it's body, goof. Okay, fine. Let's play it. The winner gets the rest of my bottle of water. All this can be yours. Okay, let's do the first one. Goof. Who represents goof? Who can argue goof? Why is it a body? Like, you hold the camera. That's your job, my friend. Get really over there. I can't even come to you because there's no... Can we move this audience over so I can get in and out of that? Give me 1 second. I'm going to handle this. Can you all move down? I know it's very unprofessional of me. This is not the first time people have called me unprofessional. Nor will it be the last. I'm just thinking, all the way at the back. Who is that person? Don't change your mind. But we're getting to you in a second. What do you think it was? Midah, so you're next. Hello. It's a moment of truth. Hello, kind of stand up, sir. What's your name?
My name is Joe Perusian. I think we use the goof in certain scenarios.
For example, how is concentration coming from goof? Yes.
Let's say I see a nice burger,
right,
looking at me right in the eye. I'm using my
you make eye contact with burgers.
Yeah, and I'm using my goof
your thing, or what is this, right?
I'm using my goof to make decisions.
Right. Oh, I see. Because you're concentrating with your goof.
Exactly.
Say, Dov is saying something great. You got it? Everyone see it? A round of applause for Dov. That the concentration is really coming from the body because we know what it's like that your body fixes on something and then it's like fully zoomed in, right? You hear it? So concentration comes from body. Right now it's wrong, but it's a good insight. Because obviously the body fixes and sometimes the body doesn't fix. It's hard to understand in science or how you would put your body into that. That's an interesting discussion. So now we have to just move up the ladder a little to understand what the secret is. Now this lady who is jumping out of a chair, what's your name? Shani? Hi, stand up a second. Now you want to argue it?
Middle.
Hands up if you're a middle person. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. Go. Why is concentration not with middle?
Because emotionally, when you said no and you said yes,
right.
You could have said the no in a yes way.
Right.
You could have said the yes in a no way.
Nachon, true.
So it's the subtext that basically makes us feel the way we do.
Right.
And
So
then
she's
once
saying
we
that,
feel something,
right.
I mean, not everybody's going to feel the same because of their middle, because of whatever they're blocking or letting things go into their heart the way they used to.
Right. So you're saying it's the tone that created the emotional context, and that's what pulled up the concentration in.
Part of it, and also the word itself. Yeah.
Okay, so good. So that's interesting. Who else thinks that they can also say a bit more about midas? Why are midas? Why are emotions connected to concentration? Why, according to this, does concentration come from midas? Comes from emotions. Anyone else think that they can explain this? There's a lady really over there. I just want to take this gentleman, he's a little closer. Just stand up first, please. Why does the concentration come from emotions?
Well, basically just the balance will enable you to focus on one thing.
But why is that emotional?
Because, let's say you were saying the range of love and fear. So if you're in fear, you won't be able to focus on it. You'll be taken to one direction.
But if you have love for that thing?
If you have love for that thing, you'll also be overwhelmed by that, as opposed to being able to concentrate and focus.
Yeah, but are you claiming that the concentration comes from emotions?
I think concentration comes from a balance of emotions, yeah.
But it comes from, it's emotionally based? Is the mechanism we concentrate with emotions, yes or no?
I think we concentrate with all of them, but emotions...
Well, boo. Boo. He's one of that I vote for everyone kind of people. I know your kind. That's what got us into this problem. Yeah, it's over here. This lady was stuffed out of a political mess right there. Yes, ma'am. And stand up. There's a reason I'm pushing this, because there's something very important that has to be said about concentration, about emotions, and you need to understand it, and someone here can say it. I want you to say it. It's all you. Right.
Because you need to care about something to connect to it.
Right.
So you need to love it.
Right.
Or fear it or hate it, but there has to be an emotion there for you to concentrate on it.
Right. There's a thing called ADHD. Hands up if you have it. Fine. Dumb question, 2019. There's a fascinating thing that no one can concentrate on anything. Now, I often say to ADHD people that say, I can't concentrate on anything. I ever say, you ever been to a party and you met a girl that you didn't know and you started chatting at 10 o'clock and suddenly it's 3 o'clock in the morning and the time went past in a second, you've been 110% concentrated? What the heck happened to your ADHD then? It's an interesting question, isn't it? The answer is, in Hebrew, what's the word for to pay attention, to concentrate and pay attention in Hebrew? How do we say it? To sim lev, to place your heart. When your heart and your emotions are invested in something, of course you're 100% concentrated, right? You get that? So that's why the heart and the midas are the core of concentration. Now that's wrong. But it's not stupid. Because if you're sophisticated, and I don't want to say something clever, I want to say something helpful. So what I said was clever, is not helpful. Because if you're ADHD or anyone else, you know that watching that YouTube video again is exciting and fun, but doing my tasks or my exams is not exciting or fun. So the secret of perfect concentration is what? How do I make my heart go somewhere when my heart wants to go somewhere else? So while simlev, to place the heart, implies there's a placing act which allows my heart to become emotionally engaged, etc. Do you understand that? So it's interesting, but it's not helpful. Now, by the way, If you said you were ADHD a couple seconds before, can you just stand up for me right now? I'm serious when I ask this. Be brave. If you're ADHD, stand up right now. Stand up right now. ADD, oh wow, everyone gets technical. I was told about fine. Now when I said by the end of the evening, you're going to have 100% concentration. Stand up, stay up. Hands up if you thought, well, that's not going to work for me because I'm ADHD. Hands up if you felt like that. Hands up. Fine. Look at the people with their hands up right now. At the end of the night, they're going to have better concentration than everyone else in the room. Because they know a thing called hyperfocus. Hyperfocus, when ADHD people get so focused, they almost can't pull out of it. The problem is they don't know how to turn that on. So the technique I'm going to show is how to turn that on. And that's very interesting. So we're going to come back to those people at the end of the night and ask if that worked for them. Okay, process of elimination. It's not guf, it's not midot, and therefore it must be. Who wants to argue Dimyon? Who can argue Dimyon? Been there, done that. So now I have to go all the way back to you. Okay, let's do it. You just start yelling until I get there. I'm going to hike here overnight and get the rest done in the morning. Yes. Stand up. Imagination, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi, Shana.
Hi.
How long have you been an alcoholic for? Right.
Well, this is really intense.
Right.
I think that what you were saying before about how our conscious reality has to do with how we're imagining what information is being filtered through our heads.
Right.
So the imagined reality and kind of how we're interpreting all of this information and everything that's swirling through does create our conscious reality.
Right. So Hannah's just saying the most obvious core point about concentration is what you imagine creates reality. And when your imagination engages something, then it becomes real for you, right? That's right, but it's not the answer to the question. It's wrong. Because the question is when you go to concentrate, the mind and the imagination wanders everywhere, right? So the million-dollar question is, how do we get the mind, how do we get the imagination to focus in the direction we want it to focus? Isn't that the key? By the way, heads up, translating Buddhism into Judaism, which serves profound purposes sometimes, the monkey mind is all of this. It's the imagery, the memory, the emotion, and the body sensation. And that's very powerful, but it's wild, hence the term a monkey. It's all over the place. It doesn't stop. So even though midot helps me focus, and my imagination, I'm really zoomed in to what I'm imagining and visualizing, it's not the secret of concentration. I don't concentrate with those because they begin by being out of control of myself, out of control of my will. And therefore, hands up if you really impress yourself and you thought, it's das for sure. Okay, here's your moment of truth. Who would like to explain to me why the secret of concentration is das? Who thinks they can do it eloquently and well? Fine. This lady over here. You stand up first, one more time.
Okay, so I'll say it from my example.
Yes.
I'm self-employed.
Okay.
So there's nobody to tell me what to do.
Right.
I have to tell myself what to do every day. The only reason why I stayed concentrated and motivated and successful is because I am being better than I was 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And only I'm watching.
So,
Nobody else.
and therefore, why is das the secret of perfect concentration?
Because my conscience is watching me.
My conscious, okay, that's the beginning of it. I'm going to push someone even further. It's included in what you said, but we can do even better. Yes. Take the mic. You're on.
Hi.
Hi.
So the self, the das, is the director of the other four. If
Right.
I can observe my body, I can relax my body.
Right.
If I can observe my emotions, that I have fear, that I have love, I can bring them back into balance.
Right.
If I can observe my imagination, I can
Right.
take a breath, bring it back.
Beautiful. What's your name?
Regina.
Did anyone hear what Regina said? The das is the true self. The das is the true will. Your thoughts, your imagination, your monkey mind can be running everywhere in the world, but your das is the self that says, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. I don't want to think in this direction. I want to think in this direction. The das is the true self and the will, and that's why it's the key of perfect concentration. Have you got that? Great. It's wrong. Sorry, Jen, I set you up. Now, parenthetically, what she said is 100% right. It is the conductor of the choir, of the orchestra. It does bring all the pieces together. But the problem with the das is, part of my word, is completely impotent. The problem, it can sit there. How many times have you had to meditate? How many times have you tried the monkey mind? And you're saying, don't think that, don't get distracted, get into sync. But it doesn't work. I don't want to be feeling that. I don't want to be distracted by that. I don't want to become overcome. I want to put my attention over here, but it doesn't seem to have the power to turn the rest of your consciousness around. So again, it's true, but not helpful. And therefore, one more time, my friends, which of these 5 is the key to perfect concentration?
None of them.
Some of them, none of them, all of them. I'll give you a clue.
All of them.
All of them. Any final bids? Any final offers?
Desire.
It's a combination of 2. Which 2? Perfect concentration. Perfect concentration is called in Kabbalah, it's very, very profound. We'll be sensitive and cautious with what I say and the terms I use. Is a zivug, a male-female relationship, an intimate act between das and dimyon. A round of applause. You quite fuck yourself. Hey, what else talking? Melvin County, America. Perfect concentration is, they call it a sexual act. We're going to talk about what that means Kabbalistically. It's very beautiful and profound between das and dimyon. Listen very carefully. Your das is the will. Your das knows what it wants to focus on, but it's impotent. It doesn't have the capacity to bring that to life, to allow that to develop, to go through the process of mitosis, to bring that into fruition and full expression. The dimyon is power, it has senses, it has energy, but it doesn't have direction. Listen very carefully. I'm going to spend 5 minutes learning Kabbalah with you, and then we'll get into the practical stuff in the evening. The mystics say something very profound. Listen, be careful to this. It's not going to make sense at the beginning, but within 2 minutes it'll make perfect sense. It's a beautiful way to frame it. The reason you can't concentrate, the reason you cannot concentrate, is because you think concentration is a dot. But concentration is not a dot, it's a circle. The reason you can't concentrate is because you think concentration is a dot, but concentration is not a dot, it's a circle. More accurately, concentration is a dot and a circle, but most people try and think that concentration is about a dot. I know that sounds weird, just repeat it back in your head, and we'll light it up in a second. Here's a dot, and here's a circle, assuming it was actually a circle. The reason you feel concentrated is because you think concentration is a dot, but concentration is not really a dot, it's a circle. Listen very carefully to this. In the mystical language, they say that different ideas have geometrical representations in Kabbalah. So mystically speaking in Kabbalah, it's very profound. A dot is a way we represent the ass. And a circle represents, a circle represents dimyon. The circle represents dimyon and a dot represents das. You hear that? Just you hear that. Don't understand it yet. Now just to dig the hole a little deeper in a more fun way, you see, notice how dot and dat, and in Monday we say dat. Dot and dat, it's a very interesting thing, they're almost the same word. The mystics say that dot is das, and a circle is dimyon. And more than that, just to dig the hole deeper, the mystics say that dot is male, And a circle is the idea of a female. The dot is das and masculine, and the circle is dimion and feminine. Now we're going to say something very deep if you pay attention right now. Very, very briefly, a few months ago with Vade, we did a wonderful class on male-female relationships from a Kabbalistic perspective. Hands up if you've heard that. Fine, so wonderful. So this is going to help right now. I want to tell you that what the core element is of masculine and feminine, because you're going to realize that the issue we have is divorce in our mind, happening psychologically, or a repression of feminine energy in the mind, ironically. And much more profound as a relevant discussion in 2019. What is masculine, what is feminine? A quick description of a very deep, profound subject as a whole. Classes, the hours I have on this online, you can go find it if the subject interests you. And I'm just to say, what is a man and what is a woman? And of course, every man has within himself masculine and feminine energy. Every woman has within herself masculine and feminine energy. I'm not even talking about homosexuality now. Within a heterosexual male, there's of course a mixture of both. And therefore, what is the paradigm? How does it work? Masculine represents seed, DNA, potential, multi-potential. It represents an idea, a vision, a concept which is outside space and time as potential, but is unexpressed. It's not yet revealed. It's not yet manifest. It's not yet tangible. A man represents literally the DNA. He contributes literally the DNA into the process. The map of what could be, but it has no dimensional expression to space and time. It's literally a dot. You get where we're going with this? A woman represents the process of mitosis. A woman represents energy and passion because the heart represents the vessel by which we expand vision into the world. When you have passion, then you have movement, you have expression. And this is where we're going. If you pay attention to the idea of motivation and concentration, how they're connected. A woman, it represents the idea of dimensional expression. That's why she's the process of mitosis. She takes the abstract seed out of space and time, and she brings that down into reality, and she begins to literally create a child, literally create a body. She takes something abstract and she makes it real, tangible. There's once I was arguing with this woman who was very upset and said, why? She asked me in a class, why do the rabbis hate women so much? And I was like, we don't. I was at the rabbi's meeting last week, and you know what he said? And she said, you know they do. And I said, that's not such an intellectual response. And she said, it says explicitly in the Talmud. So I was like, where explicitly in the Talmud? She says, the Talmud says women are like dirt. And I was like, what? She said, Rabbi, you know it says women are like dirt. And I was sitting there, I had no idea what she was talking about, and somebody else came and whispered it into my ear, and what he said is a well-known phrase in the Talmud, Isha doima bakarka. A woman is like the ground, the earth. She's not like dirt. and the mystical meaning of it was like the earth. That means if you're hungry and you want to eat an apple, and someone says, here's an apple seed, you say, thanks for nothing, because I'm hungry. But if you take that seed and you plant that in the ground, and there in the ground it decomposes, and the ground creates the moisture and the nutrients and the environment and nurtures that, then you have a tree, then you have dimensional expression, then you have expansion. If you understand what I'm saying, this is the reason why women like to talk more and men don't like to talk at all, in case you haven't noticed, right? This is deeply connected to this idea, and if you think that's a coincidence, that's just you. I literally notice this almost every night when I come home after a long, hard day, and there's my wife, she's doing a million things, and I say to her, hi, my love, how was your day? She's like, oh my gosh, I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning, the baby was throwing up twice, I didn't know what happened, I turned him over, maybe he has a rash, I couldn't find a rash, and maybe I gave him the medicine, I couldn't find the penicillin, it was in the cupboard. Have you seen it in the cupboard? I put it in the back with the other vitamins, but I couldn't find the vitamins, so finally after 3 times, he wet his diaper again, and why the second time, I think we're out of diapers, we have to get new diapers, he needs a bigger size right now, I'm not sure if he does, but finally I go back to bed at 6 o'clock, it's at 6 o'clock, the other kid came in throwing up as well. I think she also has the same rash, I didn't know what to do. I finally fell asleep with both of them on my shoulders at 6:30 in the morning, then all the other kids got up and I had to get out of bed, I couldn't find the lunch. Have you seen the lunch? I have a new lunch box, where's the bag? I think it was at the back of the bus, I had to call back to get the back of the bus. I finally got to sleep, I really couldn't find his shoe. Have you seen Shmuel's shoe? I think it was on the couch, I think it was on top top of the couch. I left it next to his boot. Hey, I'm thinking the bike's fixed, the bike's fixed, the chain was broken, I have to go. So finally I was waiting on the bus didn't come. I said, call them, sure, where's the bus? Where's the bus? They said, the bus will be there in 5 minutes. I couldn't get there. Finally they got on the bus, they were good money, I was running down the street, and then I saw Trish. Hey, I was at the shop and I saw Trish. By the way, Trish had a new baby girl, Mazel Tov. Trish's parents are going to Florida. She goes on and on and on and on and on and on, going on and on. Finally, after 25 minutes, that's literally how she talks. And finally, after 25 minutes, she turns to me and says, how was your day? And I say, Baruch Hashem. That was interesting, thank God. That's what I say. What's interesting is the man actually feel like basically expressed what I had to express. And I'm having to go back to my man cave and notice it. Now, if you think that that's just funny or silly, this is a deep idea. What is speech? Speech is the power of expression. It's a power of taking an idea that exists in potential within you and give it dimensional expression. And you're going to see this is the secret of concentration. I'm taking you to the practical elements. Listen very carefully right now. When a person has the potential within them, and that is silence, because silence doesn't mean emptiness. Silence means there's a pregnant awareness of an idea, but it's not expressed into reality. The Hebrew word for speech, remarkably, is midaber. Midaber comes from the root davar, which means an object, a physical, tangible object, and midaber, which means to cause to become physical and tangible. That's why women like to speak, because a whole nature is to take potential and draw it into reality. This is even in the Hebrew word for Chava. Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve. In Hebrew, the word Eve is Chava. Chava actually means to express. Lila, Lila, Yechavadah, she is the power of expression. The word Adam actually means silent. Silence does not mean nothing, it means existent potential, but it doesn't want to be developed and revealed. Now listen very carefully to this. The man is the idea of abstract potential. The woman is to break that down into details, into tangibility, into full expression. Listen very carefully, it's very deep. This is why, if you plug this back in, what does it mean that das is a dot? That is a will. I want to focus on this. I want to focus on love. I want to focus on self-esteem. I want to think of tomorrow. It's just an idea, but it has no expression. A dot has no dimensional expression. You see that? It exists as a point, as a vision, as an idea, as DNA, but it doesn't express it. The circle has dimensions. It expands out. Can you see that? Now, what's this? This is exactly representing the concept of conception. You see, there's the seed, there's the ova. There's the conceived child within the womb of the feminine. Have you ever been to a Jewish wedding before? What happens at the moment of the connection of the marriage? The man stands at the center, think of a bird's eye view as the dot, and the woman walks around in the circle. Isn't that interesting? Because she's saying, I will be the manifesting force, the manifesting dimension to the potential that's in there. So you're seeing how these parallels work? Now, listen very carefully. The reason you can't concentrate is because you think concentration is a dot. But concentration is not a dot, it's a circle, or it's a zivug, it's an intimate act between the masculine and feminine. Let me prove to you that you think concentration is a dot. When before we held up the cup, and I counted back down from 5 to 1, I said concentrate on the cup, and you couldn't, you lasted about 7 seconds. Hands up if what you did in your head was basically go cup, 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 I'm going to think about the cup. A cup, you see, it just wants to have a point, a dot. And in the feminine part of your mind, the free associating part said, hey, it's cups. I saw some cups in IKEA last night. They're very cheap. And the man said, shut up, woman. I'm thinking about cups. Cups. Cup. Cup. It's like the man and the woman say, let's have children together. Wonderful. The man's like, child, child, child. The woman's like, can I help you out with that? Honey, shut up. Honey, I'm making children. Child, child. And she's like, thanks to the tango. And that's a very deep secret, right? You understand, because we said circular thinking patterns. Remember that was one of the definitions? How a machshava, our mind always goes round in circles. It's doing the woman thing. It's creating the space. It's exploring details and examples. It's going round and round with them. And the man wants to focus on one thing. He wants to zoom into one thing. But what happens is he's negating the feminine. Here's an unbelievable secret. The reason we can't concentrate is because we lack women's liberation in the mind, literally. The male is repressing the feminine energy of consciousness, not valuing its contribution, negating it, and then left impotent, literally without any expression. How profound is that in 2019? So what we actually have to do is get them working together. We have to teach the das, by the way, that the monkey mind is the feminine part of the mind. And I keep saying I can't concentrate, and I'm pushing away, pushing away the microphone and $200 or whatever was in there. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. because you want to invite me back after I ruined the furniture and whatever this was. Can someone hold this in front of me as I walk around the room? Yeah, you can fix that. Great, Phyllis. So what happens is the mind has a focus of what it needs to and wants to concentrate on. But what we have to do is understand the power of the feminine part of the consciousness. And this is the secret I'm going to tell you right now. Now I'm going to transition into the practical. That was the explanatory elements. Perfect concentration is done with a relationship between the das and the dinyan. The das decides what it wants to focus on, but then it needs to transition and give that to the woman. But rather than negating the woman and saying she's so emotional, she's so all over the place, she moves around, she free associates, right? It realizes that malach haaretz kavodei, everything the machshava does in bad, it has a power for good. Listen very carefully. When the das wants to give over the idea, so the dinyan can begin to concentrate. The das has to understand the language of the woman, the language of the feminine part of the mind. Here's some of its language. The feminine part of the mind, again, every man has masculine and feminine, every woman has masculine and feminine. So we're just talking extreme paradigms rather than saying all women are. Don't get, that's not what I'm saying. Number one, the woman likes practical more than theoretical. Hold this in mind. She likes tangible. Give me something I can feel and experience. Number one. So the das has to create something tangible and experiential that the feminine part of the mind can hold on to. Number one. Number two is mitosis. It wants details. It doesn't want a general principle. The part of the mind like das may say, I want to think about self-love, that I'm loved and worthy. But the dinyan wants to think about specific details. It wants to break ideas down into details. Do you understand that? Fine. Another point is that the woman is the circle. She's the vessel. Return that. Okay, thank you. She's the vessel. She's the circle. That means she always wants to, and this is an idea. Listen very carefully, my friends. The dinyan is the power of free association. Who knows the root of the word dinyan? Look over here for a second. The Hebrew word for dinyan, I'll write it over here, 1 second, is dim-yan. Every three-letter root in Hebrew tells you the secret of what that thing is. You got that? What's the three-letter root of the word dinyan? You have to know a little Hebrew grammar to get this. It means domer, doimer. Doimer means similar. Similar. What's free association? I heard once, that the concentration works, or the dinyan works. One rabbi said to me once, dinyan works like two old Jewish bubbas that they meet in the marketplace. And one says, what are you here to buy? The other says fish. The other says my kids hate fish. The other kid says, but my kid's shoe broke. The other says, my husband's shoes are brand new. The other says, my husband's in America. The other one says, oh, my husband's out buying fish now. The other one says, my kids hate fish. You know that kind of thing where two people are talking to each other, but they're not really talking. They're kind of just going around in circles, right? That free associating. So what's this? This is the power of how the dinyan works. And this is where we can get practical. So if you didn't understand anything or you couldn't pay attention to anything I said so far, just turn on your mind now, drop a little in right now, and the rest is easy. It goes like this. The dinyan works like this. The dinyan works in short bursts. Therefore, you say to the dinyan, you say to the imagination, let's think about cups. So the dinyan goes, oh, cups. That's a nice cup. I see his plastic cup. It looks really good. I wonder if he's drinking. Looks like he's been drinking a lot of alcohol, right? And it thinks about that cup. Guess how long for? About 7 or 8 seconds. That's why most people, you kind of craft around there, and then it jumped. And the jump is key. Watch this very carefully. The dinyan thinks in pulses. She gets her energy in pulses, and then she changes. Women are about the concept of change. That's why their bodies literally wax and wane like the moon, because they flux and change. In the religious world, the mystics say there's a reason men wear black and white, and the woman can and should changes her clothes. She likes the idea of renewal of energy, like the new moon, of constant renewal and energy of newness. So the Das says, I want to focus on one thing. And the Dimion says, I want to keep moving around and changing all the time. Okay, right? So watch this, my friends. This is the exciting bit. When you tell the Dimion to focus about cups, the Dimion goes, wow, cup, I like that cup. It's a nice cup. It looks like it's got something on in it. For about 7 seconds, here's the key. After 7 seconds, it stops, it jumps, meaning it free associates, and it goes, cups, hey, cups, I went out drinking last night. And then it goes, hey, I was there, the guys were there, the girls were there, it was a great night at the club, hey, that guy was there, I wonder if he likes me, I liked him, I wonder if he likes me, is he going to call me, is he not going to call me, right? 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds, then it free associates and jumps again. He's not going to call me, nobody ever calls me, I'm going to die alone, I'm going to be lonely, I'm going to get down by everyone, right, yada, 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 right? 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. When I die, who's going to get all my stuff, right? Maybe my next door neighbor, maybe the rabbi will come over and sell everything in my house. They'll take the television, the dishes, the cups, and then they go, oh, cups! And then you come back to cups, and one of us is plastic cups. So here's the secret of how a Dimion works. It has a focus. It wants to make it physical, tangible, practical. It runs on that for 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. It stops, must be associated and jump to something else. And therefore, here's the $1 million point. The secret of concentration is the following thing. Das wants to think about one thing only. Dimion always needs to move. She always needs to change. She always needs to flux. She needs to go from one thing, stop, go to another, around and around. That's the circle mechanism. If Das wants to stay the same, Dimion wants to change. That's the reason why concentration isn't possible. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful audience. I lied about that perfect concentration thing. It was just a book. You have to have good books of it. Who would sit around such a miserable ending? And here's the moment of truth. If Das, the definition of concentration means I'm focusing on one thing, but Dimion always needs to move, always needs to change the monkey mind, then how can I ever focus on one thing? Das centers it. Now we're going to have to be very refined with what we say. And we can't just be right, we have to be helpful. The secret is in Hebrew. That you teach your mind to go me'inyan, le'inyan, la'osa inyan. To go from one subject to another subject, but within the same overall subject. Here's the secret of perfect concentration. Let's say there's something you need to focus on. Let's say you have a job interview tomorrow, you're going on a date tomorrow, and you have zero self-esteem. And your head is full of 1,000 failures and 1,000 mistakes, and all these beliefs are not valuable, I'll never find it, I'm rejected, I'm abandoned, I'm not worthy. And you say, I need to get myself into a state where I believe in myself. And if you want to feel that, and when you want to connect to that, then you have to maintain concentration, because we're going to see the secret of Dimion is, as this lady said, Regina was over here, Das is, my friends, the conductor of all the rest. And perfect concentration, what's called the flow state. You ever heard the flow state? That's called the beginnings of ecstatic, of true alignment. Comes when you align the head and the heart and the body all together. You're going to do that tonight, you're about to see. But it only begins when you begin to lock in Das to Dimion. Because when you lock in Das to Dimion, then the heart aligns, and then the body aligns, and then you have true alignment. Once you have those aligned, by the way, there's parts we haven't gone into called soul, called neshama, called chaya, called yechida. And those higher levels of superconsciousness, of insight, of divine inspiration, they drop in once the system is aligned. And you can see that's the core of motivation. Alignment is the core of motivation. When your entire being is in that state, you're in that flow. So this is how you're going to get there. How do I choose? I want to feel better. I want to have good self-esteem. So let's say you want to focus on one thing. Here's the practical. And then we're going to unlock this in a couple different ways tonight. I get a piece of paper. And I write in the middle of the page the one thing I want to focus on. I'm going to call it right now self-love. Yeah. Self-love. Great. Thin pen, I can read it, you can't. At least I'll know how to concentrate by the rest of the class. Do you see that? This is the one thing you want to focus on. This is the one thing you want to connect to. The first thing you do is you write the thing you want to focus on and connect to in the middle of the page. The next thing you do is the magic part. Watch me carefully. Cross it out. Why do you cross it out? Who can guess? Because concentration is not a dot. It's a circle. Self-love, 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 self-love. Oh my gosh, today's in 15 minutes, I have to go get dressed. Because how many times can you say self-love? You're not connecting to self-love. You're full of hate and fear and doubt and pain and confusion. What you need to do is now enter the woman state. Transition from the DNA, from the masculine into the feminine. The demon will need it in imagery, in memory, in emotional reference points. It will need it in sensory reference points. Watch this. What you look is for between 3 to 5 reference points in your life of when you experience self-love. Who can think of a moment in their life where they experienced profound self-love, self-value, self-value? How many of you got one? Who can yell it out? 1 or 2 words, what would it be? When you did what? What's that?
They hug me.
What's that? In your DNA, did somebody say? MDMA. Don't hold back, man. Just throw it out there. MDMA, fine. A moment when they were learning ABCs and they got it wrong. We're going to leave that one to the side for a second, but I'll come back to that in a second. You'll see why. Who can tell me something they did one time in their life they felt self-love? Yes, sir.
I had an experience. I did an exercise visualizing myself as a child, as a baby.
Doing what? Okay, so fine. Experience of being loved as a baby, of giving that self to me, or memory, fine. So you remember that memory of feeling as a baby, that incredible love, as a baby. What's another experience? Someone graduates, and they feel like once they're not going to make it, their score in high school was terrible, but they went to college and they worked and they slaved, and that the moment of graduation was incredible self-love. Maybe it was a woman that gave birth to a child, but as hard as that is, the moment when they felt something so beautiful and so profound can come through me, and that love that a mother has. So the moment of birth, right? What's another moment of standing on the chuppah, of getting married? I don't know. As a rabbi, I'm not contractually obliged to write this one, but sometimes when people going to the Western Wall, going to the Kotel, I always find that a very beautiful example of self-love, because especially in America, we have an idea that what gives me self-value, self-worth is achievement. When I get a certain amount of money, when I graduate. And therefore, when I got married, I feel self-love. But if I'm not married, then I'm not worthy of that, right? And there's a very beautiful thing I've seen many times. People come who are in the gutter, who are on the ground with no self-worth, and they go and stand in this holy place. And there's many holy places around the world. They suddenly feel this energy, this worth, this value. And it's not coming from an external kind of achievement, but an internal awakening and awareness. What you do is, you choose what you want, and you cross it out, because concentration is not a dot, as a circle. It needs to move. True concentration is not static. I must focus on this. It's fluid. It's organic. It needs to move. It needs to shift. But you see, when you need to move, shift, your concentration, your dimion, is going to focus on one thing for 7 or 8 seconds, and then it's going to jump. And focus on one thing for 7 or 8 seconds, and it's going to jump. The problem why we can't concentrate is because we don't control where it jumps to. You got that? Here's the secret. When it needs to jump, it doesn't care where it jumps to. It just needs something new. So if you then tell it, now we're going to jump to here, and now we're going to jump to here, then what it does is go, oh, I'm happy to do that, it's easy. And it goes round and round, and round and round is the feminine circle, round and round is the female energy. So it's fulfilling its energy, it's fulfilling its purpose, it's creating its space, it's getting its details, it's getting its tangible memories. You see what we're saying right now? So this is what happens. You decide what you want to focus on, self-love. You got that? You write 3 to 5 reference points. You close your eyes. You take 15 deep breaths. You put your finger in here. You put that into your belly button. Then you close your eyes. You fall back and say 15 Sanskrit names. Not really, but if it makes you feel good, you should do it. And then you do the following thing. You go to baby. And when you go to baby, you start thinking of the time. Use all your senses: imagery, memory, emotion, sight, sound, touch. Where was the baby? What was the baby like? The baby felt love. How did it feel to be that baby, etc., etc. And you do that for about 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. And then after 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds, you say, but I've been married for 5 years, we still haven't had a child yet, I feel really depressed, whatever, had a child. You see, your mind now jumps itself to something depressing. But at that moment, here's the secret. You jump before you're pushed. And then you go to graduation. And then you see yourself at the graduation. and you see yourself after all that hard work, and there's your parents are so proud of you, and you realize that you do have the brains, and you do have the capacity, and you do have the self-determination, you feel so connected, and then before you say, but now I'm $150,000 in debt, and I can't even get a job, and my friend didn't go to school, he's making that stuff, you jump before you're pushed, and you go to the Western Wall, and you think image details, was the sky blue, where did I put my hand, who else was there, what did I feel in my body, right? And then you jump and you go to married, there I was under the wedding canopy, and then you go to birth, and then you see that whole birth, you go through that experience, right? And when you finish at 5, what do you do then? Why do you go back? Because concentration is a circle. And then you go baby, 7, 8, 9 seconds, graduation, 7, 8, 9, cut off. And what happens is as you go round and round, you start going round and round for each one, the imagery, the memory, your sight, the sound, and feeling, you see it, you connect it, you understand it. And then what happens is a kind of a weaving effect. At the birth suddenly goes to graduation, because you become aware of my life and how it progresses. And both of them, why am I living? Why am I dying? I'm connected to something more. I'm a baby and I'm married. You see that the process of marriage and being a child and marriage and developing, and all of them start catalyzing together, and you start to get a sense of how they're all interconnected, and all of them unite in your mind, and your conscious becomes unbelievably catalyzed with an incredible matrix of child, of youth, of growing and development, and all of them you sense yourself, your soul, your purpose, your essence, and you see how everything connects together, and all of them start bringing in other ideas of self-love, and they start triggering other boxes and other memories and other experiences. It's an incredible feeling of matrix of love, of unity, and you can't even describe that feeling, but somehow the core of that feeling would be something called self-love. But you didn't come to it by focusing on the dots. You come to it by focusing on a circle of details, which floods the mind and the heart and catalyzes the energy of that, which awakens your soul, which is the source of love itself. Are you following this? Is anyone getting this? Is this interesting to anyone? Would you like to try this? Excellent. I'm glad you said yes. Does everyone have on the seats a particular colored card? Was that handed out?
Yes.
Wonderful. And if you do not have one, we have some more around. This whole part of the room missed out. Anyone work here? You got some? Okay, they're coming over there. Wonderful. Thank you so much. What's that? You haven't got one? Yes, we're going to get you one. Or if your friend has one, that's also fine. One between two will also work. You need one, sir? Nothing, sir, so thanks for letting me know. Okay, we'll go with the purple. Okay, hands up if you need one. Okay, could I borrow someone for this? If I borrow that, you'll get it back, don't worry. Okay, I'm going to tell you what this is in a second. There's 2 mantras on either side of the card. One says, Hashem created me holy, Hashem is God. And one says, I create love in the world. I want everyone, without knowing what we're about to do, to choose one that you most resonate with. I want you to choose one right now. And I want you to show me the one you most resonate with right now. That you want to try and try with. Everyone hold up the one that you're choosing. Hold up the one that you're choosing. Okay, great, fantastic. We're about to try something very interesting and very deep. Can anyone see the numbers on top of the words? Anyone guess why there's a number on each word? What's that? Rather than putting stations around the points, what if every word itself was a station? This is the essence of a mantra. What if every word of a sentence would be its own station to stop and explore with your dinner? Did everyone hear that idea? Now, as a Torah Jew, why would I choose to do it this way? You can do it this way, as I'll show you later, and also we'll play about it tomorrow, but also this right now. Because this is the secret of Jewish prayer. This is the secret of making a blessing. You know why people can't concentrate on prayer? Because we think every word is a dot, but we don't realize every word is a circle. Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech ha'olam. I have no concentration, I'm just saying words. But we don't realize that when I say Baruch, Baruch means blessed art thou, God, right? So blessed means, well, the source of blessing, to connect to blessing, to draw down abundance, to increase blessing in my life. Atah, the divine, the source, the energy of everything. And you start thinking and feeling, when have you felt holiness? When have you felt connected? When we try and pray thinking words are dots, but the Baal Shem Tov said a word is not a dot, a word is a world. Every word is a world. So we're going to play a game right now Well, rather than using this model that we'll come back to, I want everyone to look at this thing in front of them right now. I create love world. You use whatever you want to use. I'm just using this example now. What is I? Who am I? I'm Daniel Katz. I'm a rabbi. I'm a teacher. I'm a student. I'm a friend. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm so many different people. Am I the person that you see? Am I the fears and doubts on the inside? Am I only what you see? Is there so much more of me? There's so many elements of I. Create. What does it mean to create? How does an artist create a picture? Have you ever been involved? I love the idea of creativity. How do composers, Mozart gets visions, flashes of music that pops into his head? Have you ever created a thing? A mother and father create a child. The love that you have through creation, the creative process. Love. What is love? What does love mean? When do you experience it? What is ahava? Why is love in Hebrew the numerical value of one, of unity, the connection? What creates love? The world, my world, my personal world, the physical world, the inner world that I carry, the world that we have between us and campus and our communities. There's so many worlds we explore. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to ask everyone to sit up straight in your chair and uncross your arms and legs 150%. Make sure your cell phone is off. Your mission, my friend, should be choose to accept it. I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. And when I get to 1, I want you to begin going around. We call this, in the elevation project, a machshava map, a thought map. And the idea is because your Dimion always wants to wander, if you create a map from the beginning, giving it the options of where to go, then it gets to both wander and move and change, but also be focused around one central idea. You got that? So I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. And when it gets to 1, you're going to begin on the one that you chose, I. You're going to explore I. Who am I? What do I do? What do I feel like? What's my contribution? What's my beauty? What's my gift? And at the end of 7, 8 seconds, when you start to go, but I can never get my act together and I'm still stuck and everyone hates me, rejects me, you jump to create. You think of what have you created and what does it feel like to create and what does it mean to create and how did God create the world and how do you structure your life? Then you go to love, then you go to world. When you get to world, what do you do then? Why do you go back? Is concentration of the circle. I create love, world. I create love, world. 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. Keep moving. Hashem created me holy. Hashem created my room as Hashem. What does it mean holy? Sanctity, elevated spirituality. Something you experience with MDMA, right? All of these things are reference points. And if drugs are reference points, use those reference points. Bring them all up into holiness. This is what we're going to do. Listen very carefully. I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you're going to begin. Here's the interesting part. I want you to go round and round and round and enjoy it and connect to it. And should any other thought cross your mind, I want you to raise your hand. And we're going to see if we can beat 7 seconds. 1 point before we begin. At the beginning, another thought may cross your mind. Don't raise your hands. It takes a few seconds to get into the groove. You got that? If you find that at the beginning your mind is still wandering, you're probably leaving it too long, and I want you just to jump sooner and faster. You got that? If you find that you're not feeling or connecting anything in a deeper way, then it should be you should slow it down and get more imagery and memory, sensory and details. You've got that? I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you're going to begin. 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. Imagery, memory, associations, then move to the next, round and round. If you get distracted, let's make everything. Raise your hand and let me know. You got that? But then put your hand down and try again. You will get it. You'll be totally fine. I recommend you use your eyes closed. I recommend you can either remember it or put it in front of you on the floor, on your knees, but don't hold it in your hands. If you'll see, you'll remember it. If you need to open up your eyes and look at it, that's fine. You can totally do it. You do it. It will not take away from your power to be concentrated. Is this interesting to anyone? Are you following this so far? Can anyone stand up for a second for me? You've been sitting still in a chair for over 2 hours now. How's your body feel? It's going to help to have a little energy in the body. Can everyone check out your hands? Everyone kind of does this and goes, yeah, I got it. No, keep going. You're like, yeah, I got it. Keep going. After the point when you want to stop, then you inject your rats on your will, and that's when it gets good. Okay, check out as much of your body if you don't mind doing in public, unless you're religious, and then you don't have a body, and you're just in your chest. One of my best friends are religious, etc., etc. Okay. Laughing at myself, laughing at you, laughing at me. Great. We need to do more of this. Everyone clap? You can clap in your yeah. Clap with me. English clap again. Yeah. Okay, we need to do more. Everyone take a deep inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Super deep inhale. Work with me here. There's always one, isn't there? It's always you, isn't it, sir? Okay, let's put it all together. You ready? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Much better. Everyone sit down in your chairs. We're about to begin our little exercise. You may find as you go round and round, there's a point that happens, a kind of magic, where they all kind of begin to catalog and weave together. But don't try and make it happen. You don't need to make it happen. If you want to have a spiritual experience, hands up if you're hoping to have a spiritual experience. Fine, I have to tell you the secret. What's the biggest block you have to having a spiritual experience? The desire to have a spiritual experience. If you're willing to go a few minutes over tonight, we're going to do an exercise after this to take you higher. Now I just quickly want to do an exercise to show you that your mind is greater and more extraordinary than you've imagined so far. There's nothing you need to do than focus on each one. To use image, sight, sound, emotion, smell, taste, moving from 1 to 1 in 7 8 seconds. If at the beginning you get distracted, don't put up your hand, that's normal. Keep going, keep moving, and you'll get there. You'll be able to do it just fine. What you're going to see is the easiest thing in the world. You were born to do this. Your consciousness was engineered by the master to do this. It's the easiest thing in the world. Let's take a few seconds just to calm ourselves. I ask everyone to close their eyes. Sit up straight in your chair. Uncross your arms and your legs. Commit to keeping your eyes closed the whole time. Whether you think it's working or not, it doesn't matter. Let's just let the magic happen. Trust in ourselves, trust in our source, and be open to all possibilities. Just allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your arms to relax. Your shoulders and arms are relaxing, are warm and relaxed. Your hands and your fingers are relaxed. Beautiful. We're in a room full of very good people, very good souls, from all different backgrounds, all coming together, learning together. How beautiful. I want you to know whatever happens right now, we've already succeeded. We've already tried, and therefore we've already succeeded. The rest is just a pleasure to explore and be curious together. Let's be curious together. Allow your chest and upper back to relax, to feel warm and relaxed. The stomach, lower back, melting away, relaxing and melting. Relaxing and melting, hips and legs and feet, relaxing and melting away, melting down. Your feet are relaxing, your toes are relaxing, just melting into the ground. Wonderful. I want everyone to take a deep exhale right now. Deep exhale right now. And then slowly inhale all the way to 5. 1, all the way in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, and deep exhale all the way out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep inhale. Go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, go. 2, 3, 4, 5, go. 2, 3, 4, 5, go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, come back to normal breathing. We're about to begin. I create love world. I create love world. Hashem created me holy. Hashem created me holy. If you need to open your eyes and look at it, you're totally welcome to, but I don't think you'll need to. You were born to concentrate. You have all the skills and gifts you need to do this beautifully. Fall back and enjoy it. It's the easiest thing in the world. I create love world. Hashem created me holy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin. Colors, details, keep going round and round. Round and round. You may begin to sense how all of these are connected together somehow. It's a greater light around them, greater energy that comes through them. It's doing wonderful round and around. Tilt your head back, fall back into it. Round and around. You're up into a seated. Round and around. Wonderful. Take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Wiggle your fingers a little. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. Hands up if something interesting happened in that view. That was interesting for you. Hands up if something beautiful happened. Hands up high if that was beautiful for you. Hands up for basically more or less you were concentrating the whole time. Hands up high. Anyone know how long that was? 3 minutes. Round of applause for that idea. Wait, this is the warm-up act. Don't go anywhere yet. Hands up, that was like beautiful or fascinating. You'd like to share a little of what happened today. Would like to hear a little what happened for people. What's that?
I'll share.
You share. Yes, sir. Stand up for us.
So when I started going through it, basically realized that the word that you said, solution, same.
Right.
Words connect so hard.
How did that feel to experience that?
Oh, great.
Great. Wait. Great is judgment. What was the feeling? Real. It felt real. The feminine is the real energy. It makes ideas physical real. Hands up if you felt your emotions start to get involved. Hands up if you're here. Okay, now we're getting into to motivation. Do you see how you took an idea from theory to practice by plugging the masculine into the feminine? Hands up if you got that now. Hands up if the words came alive. Hands up if you felt a deep connection between the words. Hands up if you felt a sense of lighter energy somehow around the words of yourself going into that. Isn't that interesting? Does anyone have anything emotional or spiritual or something weird happen up in there? Robert, would you like to, I'd like to hear a couple. Hands up high if something like that happens to you. Hands up high. Anyone who cares to share? Someone like that? Yes, sir. Yes, coming through. That's it over there. This guy's not a plant.
Thank you for that. That was unbelievable. The first time I went through that, I started it with Hashem,
Right.
and I found it took energy, and I was melting into the words,
Right.
and it took effort. By the time I circled back, I felt energy entering in my hands like crazy.
Wow.
My body now lifting up, and
Right.
I entered a space that seemed so calm,
Wow.
and I completely had focus, and I felt I had less effort to stay focused,
Wow.
and it was just sublime. It was
Wow.
unbelievable.
Wow, amazing. Glad you can get a clap. Wow. Hands up if you're surprised how easy that was. Hands up high if you're amazed how easy. You see how natural it is? Now, do you understand that that thing that gave you the power to concentrate actually is the thing that in the other systems we were trying to refresh? Do you see how weird that is? That's the monkey mind. So the very thing we spent all week, days and days trying to push away was the one thing that you just turned on and catalyzed, and suddenly you were able to do in a second a deep state of connection. Who else had a deep experience they care to share just a little, to hear a little of your voices? I just want to go over here. Yes, coming in. Hands up high with the hands. Yes, you want to play? Everton? Stand up first. Yes.
Okay. I sort of felt the opposite to what
Right.
the Jewish gentleman just said. Where I started, I felt warmth in my hands, I felt myself melting into the words.
Right.
I felt really at peace and really happy. I could feel myself smiling. I saw pictures of my kids and everything they created.
Right.
When it was me, I was
We're on the edge of our seats, and then what happened next? Yes.
And then I went through like one cycle of words, and it was all positive and
Right.
very happy.
Right.
And I don't even remember right now what happened, but I started to get very negative.
Right.
And like, I'm gonna cry. And like really sad. And I the whole rest, I can't remember that person. The whole rest
Yes.
of the time I was trying to like get back to the positive. I kept picturing other things, and I couldn't get back to it.
What was the core feeling that came up?
Confusion.
Confusion. Confused of?
In the beginning, I felt like when I was thinking of Hashem, I was thinking all positive, and I was thinking a lot of different
Sit
things.
down for 1 second. The opposite of confusion is clarity. Can you think of 3 to 4 images of clarity in your life? The moments when you felt clear, you felt strong, you felt loved, you felt safe. Do that now. Round and round. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to do one more step with me. Can you hold on for 5 more minutes to try one other thing? Tani, can you come back to the stage for a second? You still in the house? Start as fast as you can. Everyone close their eyes for a second. Start it now. Sit up straight in your chairs and cross your arms and your legs. Right now, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, you have something infinite within you. An infinite light, an infinite love, infinite truth, infinite goodness, infinite state of peace. Some people believe in God, some people don't. Some people believe in Torah, some people don't. It doesn't matter, it's there. And in that place and in that state, you are loved beyond your capacity to comprehend. Your hand is a part of you, your nose is a part of you, your intellect is a part of you. And this highest consciousness of light, of infinite connection, is just a part of you. How do we access a part of mind which is above mind? We align the lower part of our consciousness to that value, to that feeling, to that energy. Then we just simply fall back into it. I want everyone to choose right now one example of a moment in their life where they felt incredible love. One moment in your life, one memory where you felt love. Maybe you had love for another, another had love for you. I want you just to step into that right now. See it, feel it, watch it as a story. Tell yourself the story and watch that scene. Find the most powerful moment of experiencing love in it. Then rewind and play that scene again and watch it again. Look at all the colors, emotions, the sights and sounds, feelings in the body of love. Beautiful. I want you to just focus on the idea right now of holiness. That's one moment in your life that felt sacred, that felt holy, that felt transcendent, that felt supernatural, that felt divine when you contacted something deeper within you, deeper in nature, a holy place in the world, a holy day. Watch that story like a movie right now. Colors, sights, sounds. Rewind and play, rewind and play. Holiness, whatever it means to you. Maybe it was a drug trip, that's fine. You experienced something profound. Take it and elevate it in right now. Number 3, beauty. That's something that you found incredibly beautiful. It could be a sunset, a group of people united together in song, a piece of music that broke your heart and opened it to a new level. Find that scene, choose that scene, play it and rewind and play and rewind and play. Colors, sensations, smells. We've had love, we've had holiness and beauty. One more. Awe, era, awe, to be in awe of something. You ever been out in the desert under 100 trillion stars and just felt overwhelmed with how big it all is and how small we are? In the most beautiful, epic way. Choose a moment you're in awe of life, awe of nature, awe of God, awe of seeing how it all comes together and it's so much bigger than myself. Watch it like a scene, rewind and play, rewind and play. I want you to begin to cycle now to these 4. Love, holiness, beauty, awe. Love, holiness, beauty, awe. Connect to each one, round and round. Take your time. There's nowhere else to be. There's nothing else you have to do. See and feel each one. Round and round. Go. Infinite love. Infinite beauty. Infinite holiness. Infinite awe. As we go round and round, I want you to begin to be aware of each of these are included with each other. Sense the beauty and love, the holiness and beauty, the awe and holiness, the awe of love. How each exists, supporting the other in the most profound, mysterious way. As you do that, I want you to realize the greatest self and soul and light surrounding each of these. There's a light around you right now. I want you to choose and believe right now you're connected to all the souls in the room. All these incredible souls in this room, full of love, full of awe, full of holiness and sanctity. So beautiful. Choose and believe right now we're all connected together. And return round and round. And I want you to realize now that moment of holiness was a divine gift from Hashem, from God, wanting you to taste the infinite transcendence of life, the holiness of life. Just know that that was a divine source reaching out to you. I want you to take your memory of love right now. Realize there's infinite love beyond that. That was a moment the infinite kissed you and said, taste the taste of infinite love. I want you to know that moment of beauty, as fleeting as it was, and behind it, infinite beauty, infinite love, infinite holiness, infinite awe. Trace past each one to the source that unites them all. See that source of infinite light above your head. Most divine, holy, awe, love, shining down into you right now. Tilt your head back and open your arms, open your hands to receive it. Shine it out into your mind, into your heart, into your body. Let it flood down like a waterfall, washing out negative thoughts, destructive beliefs, flooding your mind with holy, beautiful, loving thoughts, holy, beautiful, loving beliefs. Let it flood down into your heart, pushing out fear and doubt and ego and pain of a lifetime. Let go of that lifetime of pain and fear and ego. Let your heart be full of love, of joy, of awe. And shine it out to the room right now. Let it run through your body, your hands, your feet. See it rushing through, flooding through. Now through your hands, shine it to the rest of the room. Give it to everybody who's struggling, everyone that needs it. Come and channel a macabre to shine to everybody. Shine it out to all of New York. That love, that peace, that divinity, that blessing. light over the noise. Tilt your head back and let go and release into the light. If there's any great tzaddik, spiritual master from Jewish history, man or woman, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, Reb Nachman, Baruch Rebbe, any great spiritual master, call and connect to them now. Choose and believe their souls are with us, connected to us right now. Ask them for a blessing right now. You're surrounded by souls that love us, that are guiding us. Ask for a blessing right now. See them and feel them now. Take one more minute to pray with all your heart. If you believe there's Hashem, His divine source, speak with all your heart for what you need, what you yearn for. If you don't believe, use the law of attraction, the power of will and intent to will, intent, and envision a better life, a better future, the healing you seek, emotional healing you seek, the release of the darkness, the opportunity for goodness, the peace and blessing for your family. You are connected to the source. You are one with the source. Choose how it should bless us now. Wonderful. Finally, if there's someone else you know in your life that needs a blessing, that needs prayer, pray for them right now and see blessing and light flooding to them right now, healing them in real time, giving them their needs right now. It doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. Light within you is a powerful thing. Finally, go back to love, to holiness, to beauty and awe. Love, holiness, beauty and awe. Commit to living, feeling, knowing those things. When you're ready, you can take a slow deep breath and open your eyes. Okay. Hands up if something beautiful happened there for you. Hands up, and I don't know what this means either, if something spiritual happened there for you. Wonderful. I'd love to go around the room and hear everyone's thoughts. I know the time is late. Isn't it interesting what the mind can do? In summary, don't destroy your monkey mind. Elevate your monkey mind. Torah is not a path of negation. Torah is a path of elevation. We ascended by understanding the nature of something within our consciousness, understanding it is all there for the purpose. We honored it, we understood it, and through that we elevated, and through that you understand. You weren't just able to align your mind in concentration. You're able to put your whole being into an aligned state of consciousness. The goal of Torah is to live in that state. The goal of the mystics' teachers is to live in every interaction, in every relationship, in every precious moment, whether we're eating food, whether we're in intimacy, whether we're working and making a living. It should be lived and being in that state, and feel how conscious you feel now, how awakened you feel now, how loving and expansive you feel now. Talk about productivity, that's next level living, that's next level life. This is the essence of Chassidus. This is the essence of Dveikus. We're not bottom up, we're top down. Das goes into Dinyon and aligns it. Once you have that zivug of the masculine and feminine, then the children they produce are these strong emotions which goes into the body, which generates out beyond the room. When I ask you to connect to people in the room, hand up if you felt some kind of energy of people connecting together. Isn't that weird? That is a very powerful force. When I asked you to connect to souls of spiritual masters, anyone feel that soul was with them or guided them? Now you're all really weird. Don't tell anyone you did that. That they are our resources, our powers. That's why we say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's why we focus on these masters. They are with us. There's so much beautiful stuff to learn. But as you can tell, I'm super out of time.